which better,
Doesn't help.
better than September, but not by much.
Yeah, like damn, bro. Like, could we get some? Like, can we get some time to do this shit?
I was surprised that not a lot of things moved to August because like August is kind of open. I mean, like I think there's like the Metal Gear collection that I'm looking at right now in August, but off the top of my head, I don't think there's really a whole lot. And like that's a collection of old games.
Yeah.
So like, I'm gonna actually pull it up real quick. Hold on.
Yeah, like I really
Halo's coming in August, right? Or is Halo
no, it's July?
July.
Is Gears August?
Gears is October.
October, okay. And then
yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it.
COD have a release date?
COD is the 24th
of October.
9th or 20. Okay, 29th is Phantom Blade.
So August. I mean, I guess August does have some stuff. It has Beast of Reincarnation. It has Marvel Token.
Oh yeah.
Madden if you're a football guy. Oh, that Star Wars Zero Company game comes out. I'm a big Star Wars tactics guy, so that's definitely on my radar.
Yeah, XCOM style.
I kind of had a feeling this was gonna happen. My thing kind of froze a little bit, but yeah, we're live. Sorry about that. Nothing controversial was said, so that's good. Everyone's safe. But listen, before that, we were just talking about the games we played. I think the guys were talking about James Bond First Light. I myself haven't played it. I'm not really looking to. You know what? I think the more people talk about it, the more I'm actually interested in giving it a shot. And I keep telling myself, "Oh, just purchase it, just purchase it." My friend just finished it, and he said it was pretty good as well. But I don't know. I'm just kind of in this funk of like, I feel like if I'm going to play a game, you need to be uniquely special. But you know, I might give it a chance. But apart from James Bond, before we get into the actual show, is there any other game apart from James that you guys are playing that's good, that's interesting, etc., etc.?
I think we're all on the same page right now.
I'm just on Forza 6, basically.
Ah, yes, Forza. Yeah, give us a quick rundown on how you're finding it, Ushers.
Forza's good. I mean, it's Forza Horizon, so it's a very interesting game. I started playing it on my Series X, but I moved it to PC. You just get more out of it graphically if you play it on PC. Look, the setting is fine, but like I just find Forza just like in terms of like everything else, it's kind of corny. And the first one I would say actually was probably the edgiest one in terms of trying to do something different. But since it became like a mainstream franchise, there's all this sort of like, you can tell it's very curated in terms of like, you know, the in-game stuff, like how, you know, the characters and all that type of stuff. It lacks that edge, which I think it's very generic, dude. It's like they've turned it into like almost like a flight simulator thing, where like there's nothing in the sort of background, inverted commas, story that is in any way captivating the same way, say, like the Need for Speed games were, Midnight Club was, where it's all about street racing and the characters are cool, and Most Wanted was, which is what I think they're trying to do with Clutch, because so that they is the most.
Well, here's the question. Where's the question on
Forza?
Forza?
The racing and everything is really.
Where's the question on Forza?
Perfect.
Is Forza Horizon 6, and I will get into the details to the actual talking points just after this. But is Forza Horizon 6 one of those games that you play as a Forza fan and say, "Oh, this is better than Forza Horizon 5," or is it different?
Yeah, like in terms of mechanically, it's better. Like the setting, like again, it's incrementally better. But all the stuff that, you know, like that, if you enjoyed certain things from the sixth game, aside from the setting, a lot of the stuff is better. They've done a lot. You can tell that they've done a lot to sort of like from ground up change things, like for instance the sounds of the cars, how the cars handle. You can, especially if you have specific cars that you used to use, you can see the difference. Where there's no difference, in fact, I would say the quality worse is, like, for instance, they have this thing where you can actually sort of create your own character. That is the worst it's ever been. Like, those characters, it's not like you're getting
Ashes. Yeah, you kind of caught now
from Fast and the Furious, where like
Ashes, can you hear us?
Oh, okay. The thing is, I'm on mobile Wi-Fi.
You kind of caught now, so it's fine. I think
I can hear you.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
it's fine.
Kind of to piggyback off him real quick, because I just finished Forza right before I went into 007. I'm usually not a racing guy. Like, it's just a genre that just doesn't hook me. Like, I just kind of get bored of it very quickly. But I mean, I played this one to finish, got to the the gold wristband stuff, and I think gameplay wise, it's a phenomenal game. It's really good. But I would like to challenge Playground, especially like looking at what they're doing right now with Fable. That and in the next Forza Horizon, I would like to see them kind of experiment a little bit more with narrative, because it's like they put characters in this game. Like, there's characters, you have friends, you have these other like 2 or 3 people that they'll show up incrementally, throughout the game, and it's just like, man, this would be like, because they have the gameplay down. Like I don't know what, from a gameplay perspective, I could ask more from this genre. Like, I just think it plays really well. I think it's just phenomenal. But it's like, man, like there are times where like they do like these day trip to Japan's, right? And it's like kind of like a more laid back kind of mission structure where you're like going around, and it's cool because it's like, oh, they want you to see like the sights of Japan, but they're so, I guess I don't know how to, formulaic, because it's like you start off like, okay, we're just gonna take a nice drive through this scenic area with the first character, and then at the end the second character shows up, he's like, let's race. And it's like, I just feel like, man, could we just do it?
What
Like,
do you want, like GTA or something? You want a guy your car starts shooting people?
No, I'm not even asking for that. I'm just saying something kind of like Osha said really well, is like, it sounds like what Clutch is going for, where it's like, these are guys that made Forza Horizon originally, and now they're moving on to do this other game that definitely has more of a cinematic characters. I'm not saying I want Forza Horizon you should not be leaving your car in Forza Horizon, at least not like via gameplay in a serious manner. But like, give me like a little something to be like, oh hell yeah, there's a mission, there's a day trip to Japan / mission over there. I want to go do that. And I think that's the one.
Well, how about this then? Would you say that for Forza Horizon 7, they need to switch it up?
I mean, again, I just would like to see them build on it, like just encompass. Like, I had this like weird thought, because like halfway through the game they introduce you to like, I guess, the head of the Forza festival or whatever. And like, disclaimer, I haven't played the previous Forza Horizons. This was my first one, and so like my understanding is that she's in the other games, I think, briefly or something. But I'd be like, man, it'd be really cool if like there was like a narrative in this game, and like, I don't know, maybe you had like a racing rival, and like this head of the Forza Horizon gets involved and stuff. Like, I just think like from a narrative perspective, like, and maybe it's a little weird to ask for more narrative in something like a racing game, maybe I'm like looking at it in too much of a box kind of like stereotype, but that's what I would say. It's like, can we get some narrative, something a little juicy, some meat on the on the narrative bone there? But
yeah, I'm not a huge, like you said, I'm not a huge racing fan. For me though, I kind of feel like Horizon has the opportunity to really add in maybe some just really goofy and fun modes, because I see games like the new Stuntman game, and that looks so much fun. Where's the burnout mode?
Ooh, that's a
where
good
you can just
idea.
do crash mode. How about a demolition derby? It seems like, because I mean, I get it. I mean, they're going for more of an arcadey experience, but I'm like, let's take it arcadey to a full different level that's more fun, because I need something like that. I need something like that versus just driving around, because I'm a car guy, but when I play on a video game, none of those cars feel like real driving. It just feels like, okay, because it's hard to put that out there unless you get a wheel with all of those mechanics, the feedback to me, because driving a Lamborghini with sticks, sorry, it's just not the same. So to me, I need something to do with a car I could never do in real life. And to me, that would be a thing. So I hope Stuntman delivers on that. And I did hear there's some fun things in Forza, like there's like is there like a mech or something in it?
yeah,
I mean,
that's
get full in the personality of Japan, right? Hey, there's Godzilla. You're riding underneath Godzilla's legs or something. That's what I want out of a game that's larger than life, to be honest.
Yeah, those are the highlights of the game. So like, you have these they're called like Forza events. Basically, you get enough progress in the missions and you're enough stars and stuff like that, and they have like these, I guess you would call them like chapter ending. Again, it has the structure to do a narrative, because it's like, okay, cool, go do enough races, go do enough speed traps to get enough points, and then you can unlock the Forza event you do the Forza event, and then more stuff unlocks to do more. And those Forza event set pieces, like, they're easy. You're not racing anything actually. Like in the narrative, you're racing like a giant mech or like an airplane or like whatever.
That's cool.
But like they're the highlight of the game. It's just like, man, just do a little bit more. Like you definitely have I think Playground is a phenomenal developer, and like Ty and I have talked about this. It's why I just have so much faith in Fable. It's like I think they're a great developer. So it's like that's where I would challenge them. It's like, hey, in the next game, like just do a little bit more.
I agree with you on that.
Sounds like they need family, like Dom Toretto.
So I agree with you there with the with Playground, especially because with the last Fable intro that they showed, I thought it was actually pretty good. But listen, let's get into the actual news. I did want to segue into what the Gears of War fans thought about this initial screening. I wasn't crazy about it. I did think it was good, but I wasn't like impressed. But then again, I'm not a Gears of War kind of guy. When you saw this, what did you think? I'll get to you in a sec as well.
So my Wi-Fi is a bit crappy. I'm on mobile Wi-Fi. So look, it's the most I noticed certain things that if you're a Gears fan, you would like. The first, you can now sort of scale stuff upwards instead of just always just on the side from side to side. So they've really expanded what you can do gameplay wise. I just don't see the practicality in putting these guys in civilian clothing that look like modern clothes. That's so silly. They could have done something so much cooler. I don't get that. Like, to me, that threw me off a little bit because all of them just look unnatural, dressed in jeans and normal clothes. That it just doesn't work for the setting. Like, that's not what Sarah is. Do something sci-fi. Give them sci-fi, civilian clothing. This was silly. But aside from that, the gameplay looks solid. It looks better than any Unreal Engine, 5 game that I've seen in a minute. So, yeah, it's doing all the Gears things. I think the best quote was Jaffe when he said, it's all there. That's what I'm talking about, like vertically going up and stuff. So, it's all the meat and potatoes of the games. It's everything you expect from a Gears game. They didn't try to subvert you. They didn't try to do, something completely, 360. All they did is they just went back to what makes Gears.
Back to basics.
That's what you're gonna get. Yeah, that's it. That's what people want. We don't want you. We want you to be creative as developers, but don't go and start putting rainbows and bright colors in Gears, and then expect me to still think this is Gears.
One thing
I'm not talking about.
Like Jaffe had this discussion with someone on his podcast, and somebody said to him, like, "Yeah, I don't like the new Gears of War," and Jaffe was kind of going back and forth as to like, "No, it's still the same thing." And the guy made a point, so like, "No, because the new one is not as dark, it's not as violent, it's not as gory. They've made it a little bit more for everybody." And Jaffe was actually like, "You know what? Yeah, you're right. You're right. Like, it's a lot less graphic, it's a lot less violent and all these things." So I think this return to basics is what the fans have wanted. So, here it is. But real quick, before we move on to Rome, the second guy who joined Xbox because of Gears, what are your thoughts on this?
So I absolutely loved the showing of Gears E-Day. I mostly agree with what Asha said, except for the plain clothes, I
was gonna say that too. I was like, yo,
in the lore, it's after the Pendulum War. Not to be the dork, but it's after the Pendulum Wars and it's before the Locust invade. So they're not in the military right now. They get sent home. It's done. They're just trying to get back to. They're literally civilians in this scene.
It looks like Joel.
Yeah, it
does. If they were wearing like a sci-fi getup or like whatever you're alluding to, it wouldn't fit the tone, in my opinion. I don't think it would fit that. Like,
I want cooler clothes though. I think we all just want cool.
Yeah, just something cooler.
Yeah.
Like
he doesn't need to look cool yet.
This is not Earth though. This is like Sarah. This is a different planet. Why are they? This looks like this could be any city or any place in our timeline, in our universe. But this is a different planet. You could do something cooler with them. I just wanted them to do something more creative, right? Because
Well, they have
Genes aren't an genes are still available in the future. I guess that's a good thing to know.
But yeah, I mean, Ron, go ahead, finish off your your comments.
No, so as a big Gears fan, I loved what I saw. I definitely agree that, like, while I did enjoy the newer Gears games, like 4 and 5, I think there was a tonal shift somewhere there, more so towards 5. I think 4 still has a little bit of that tone from the original trilogy, but like everything I saw from E-Day, it really captured like the tone of, like, it's not survival horror, but it's very light. Like, it's very, like, I don't know exactly how to put it out there like that, but it's just like it's got this very dark and serious tone to it. I loved it. I loved a lot of the bringing it back to the original, but still also, like, when he does the high vault and he climbs up over the supermarket fridge or whatever it was, like, I know his instantly is like, oh shit, they're doing that now. It's like in the gameplay you're showing, they just Marcus does like a low cover, and I'm just like, and later in the direct they showed the slide. I was like, oh man, like that's rad as hell. Like, as a Gears fan, like I'm extremely happy with what I saw. I convinced the wife. I pre-ordered the $300 statue collector's edition, which with money these days, I don't do collector's editions anymore. But I'm so ecstatic and just so excited for this one.
Yeah, does it include the game return to form?
Yeah, it has. So it's a game. It's a steelbook, cog tags, and like a really big statue with like Marcus and Dom. And then I think there's other stuff too, but like obviously that's like you get all the deluxe upgrade skins, all the digital stuff. I think it's early access. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I think it might have like early access too.
I'll be surprised if it didn't. But Ken Wall, let us know. What did you think of the Gears of War showing? Were you impressed? Were you bored?
I liked it. I wasn't crazy about it. Usually I don't think the Coalition does a bad job with Gears. Where they do a bad job with Gears is the story. Like 4 and 5, I had a good time playing, but the story just sucked for 4 and 5. So I feel like the Coalition got the feeling of Gears. To me, it was just always the story that they missed the mark on. With this game, I'm in it. Like, I played Gears Reloaded over the summer with my brother, and I really enjoyed it. I think they got I felt like they got everything right here. I like the movement and stuff. Nothing is too like, don't do that. I don't like that. Nothing I saw in this gameplay I didn't like. It's just that, like, I feel the Coalition is just boxed in because I like Gears. I don't love Gears. I don't think it was one of those IPs I don't understand how it kept running, to be honest. I felt like they should have done something else because, like, even with the lore, I was like, oh yeah, they did fight in a war before this. But I was like, I don't really care to see that. And like, they were like, people were thinking they're gonna go further back, and I'm like, well, I really don't care. Like, I feel like I got everything with the trilogy. But put that aside, this gameplay, I think the game is gonna have a lot more fun moments than the previous games. I think this is gonna be their best output for Gears from the Coalition.
I think a lot of people would probably agree with that just based on what we're seeing. Todd, any thoughts on Gears of War E-Day before we bounce off?
Yeah, I mean, I like the series a lot. The gameplay's fun. Co-op is why, I got my friend into Xbox because of Gears, playing it co-op. It was amazing. So I assume we're still getting co-op mission, couch co-op, unsure.
They confirmed that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And ultimately, I'm not a big fan of prequels just because ultimately, all the cool things we've seen, we're not going to get in this. And if we do get new weapons, then it's going to feel like, where did they go away? And that's a little frustrating to me. And the other part is a lot of the appeal of the characters is how they've grown through the series. And now we're back to kind of where they were. So I guess that's interesting for some people. And then the other question is, they're going to conundrum. Where do they go next? Are we just going to get, like, is it going to be in the Star Wars prequel issue where it's going to be, there's going to be so many stories like before Gears 1 that we're just going to see more and more of this stuff? Or are they going to vault and go to finally go, maybe they do. Maybe they just tell you, 5, yeah, that happened. Now we're vaulting forward again. But I don't know if people want Gears without these main characters. They mean a lot to them. So to your point, Rome, you mentioned like the other war. I think ultimately a lot of people don't really care about the super fans care about all that lore and stuff, but that's why there's books, there's comics, there's things like that that are great for that. I don't think I want those because I don't want to see them fight humans. I want them to see them fight big monsters because that makes sense. Putting a chain gun through a human doesn't seem as good as putting it through a monster. So for me, I don't know. I think it'll be fun to play, but thank goodness I have PC Game Pass because I would not be paying day one for this.
Yeah,
I think that's a really good point in the sense that where do they go from here? But I feel like if I was to ask you guys that question, we'll be here for another like hour and a half talking strictly about Gears of War. Like, yeah, so let's
well, you can read Rome's fan fiction. He'll tell you where he wants it to go next.
There it is.
No. I'm not a weirdo like that.
So Raichi says he's not a Gears fan, but played the trilogy last year and he quite enjoyed what he saw. To be honest, I'm not crazy about Gears, but I did play 5 with my friend in co-op as well, and it's as a co-op game, it's really, really fun.
Yeah.
Del Grim says it's cool, fun, solid visually, and well written, would be greatly appreciated. So I think he agrees with everyone on the panel here that like the game looks good, but the writing we just don't know yet because we need to obviously get into that. And Raichi says, I think this is for you, Rome. He says you bought 13 inches of Marcus.
Marcus and Dom.
Yeah, there you go.
Both
gotta go bigger than 18 inches of venom. Or no, I guess smaller now.
Ushers with the spoiler saying they killed Marcus' son. So yes, why?
Well,
go ahead.
Is it there's 2 endings in Gears 5?
Yeah, we don't.
Yep. You don't know what we don't know what ending is canon yet. So
yeah, we don't know.
I don't know if we'll ever find out.
They know either.
They don't know either.
I don't think they know either.
I still can't believe
they roped themselves in a corner.
Oh,
yeah.
Who did everybody pick? What did everybody pick for their ending?
So I chose to save Marcus's son, because kind of what you were saying, Todd, earlier. It's like you care about these characters, and for me, I'm just like, damn, Marcus has been through so much. Like when I had the choice, I was like, Marcus has been through so much. I can't kill his son. I can't do it. Like, so I was like, yeah, sorry, Del.
Yeah,
sorry, dude, who's only been in 1 or 2 of the games. I'm not killing the series main protagonist's son. So, but yeah.
The story for 5 was, I was like, wait, hold up. So JD was the main character, and then you made Kate the main character.
Yeah,
like that made no
like
sense.
that.
Okay.
Like
we're gonna be here forever.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
This ain't no Gears of War podcast. Yeah,
like JD is the main character's son. Like we were following him, and then nope, not anymore.
I will say, like, even when I was playing it, I did kind of feel like, I don't know if you guys watched Harry Potter and the one with Harry Potter's kid, and it's just a bit weird.
No, I didn't watch that.
I kind of felt it like I was like, like I get what they're doing with this story, but it's just not that interesting. And I was like, it just feels weird.
Oh, you saw it on Broadway, or you saw it in?
No. I didn't see it, but like I was reading up on it, and I was like, this kind of way the way you're trying to write this story about the problem child and trying to impress I was like, I don't know if I like this kind of story. But listen, let's stick to Gears. Gears of War E-Day was announced by Asha Sharma as an exclusive. Todd, I'll go to you first with this one. We did see some leaks that it was possibly going to be on PlayStation. Then we heard some other reports that, hey, it's been pulled off in the last week or so. So when you saw the console exclusive sign pop up, like, what were your initial thoughts on it? And then when you then saw Spyro as not an exclusive, and then you saw Hellblade as not an exclusive, and then you saw Clockwork as an exclusive, like, run us through your thought process on what Xbox was doing there. Like, were you confused? Were you a bit annoyed? Were you a bit like, do these guys actually know what's going on? Go ahead.
In a lot of ways, I feel like they are trying to please the hardcore fans of Xbox, the one that wants it to go back to the old days. But I think they're looking through the lens of, well, if we're going to make any games exclusive. Maybe we could just get the ones that matter the most to the hardcore fans. And then maybe something new where we don't know if it'll bring in a lot of new people anyways. So we said those are enough. But to your point, they did then say, oh, well, all these other games, even though they even said, well, games we announced, those will stay where they're. But to your point, what do? They launch a couple new games that are going to be everywhere. So in some ways, I feel like they are in a no-win situation. I think if they really wanted to grow Xbox, then they said, you know what, everything's exclusive, which would be hard because then you got to sell more boxes, which the boxes are incredibly expensive. So I don't know, you can't get Game Pass on PlayStation or Switch. Their games are on Steam. So it's like ultimately, I don't know. And if you're on Steam, that's now their biggest competitor because with Helix coming out, I think you're going to get only PC games that play on Helix. Like you're not going to get an Xbox version and a PC version. You're just going to get that version that plays on PC, so it can go everywhere else, and it's easier to make for developers. So I just feel like this is just a temporary decision, and then they'll go back to primarily focusing on publishing, and then also have a box similar to like their Surface platform, where they do produce something that tends to be like maybe their reference model, like NVIDIA with their graphics cards. They have a reference model, but then everybody else can make their own. So I kind of feel like that's where we're going to go, especially with what we saw with the Asus Xbox Ally. I think it would just be smarter for them to let they kind of come up with the device and then let other manufacturers make it, a partnership, whatever. Those manufacturers maybe get a deal on some of the game sales, so at least they're more profitable. But I kind of see what's happening, but I don't know. I don't think Gears, especially after Gears Reloaded, kind of fell flat with PlayStation fans. I think it was an easy for decision to say it only means something to the people that were played on 360. So that was probably an easy decision for them. And then Clockwork Revolution, man, I am so excited about that game, but I just don't know if that's the game that's going to drive people to buy Xboxes, Helixes. So I don't know. I just think this is all going to change very soon again after we saw the news. So I would say it's probably the easiest thing for them to do, a game that's so far out in 2027, and this is kind of looks like a win for those who demanded exclusives.
I think that's an interesting point because it would basically mean that like they're acting on impulse and they're going to backtrack again. And I don't think the Xbox fan base can deal with backtracking right now. So it'll be interesting to see if that pans out. I'll go to you next, Rome. Same question. When you saw Gears of War as an exclusive, and then shortly thereafter we saw Spyro, which is a single player game that isn't an exclusive, and then we saw Hellblade, which is a single player game that isn't an exclusive, and then we saw Clockwork, which is an exclusive. What was your thought process on what you think Xbox is trying to do in this situation? Why are they separating some titles like this?
Yeah, I think I mean, I'm just gonna start off by saying with the preface that I have an Xbox Series X, I have a PS5, I have a Switch too. They're all literally right there. So I honestly, to me, exclusives don't really matter because if it's a game I want to play, I'm going to play it wherever I do. As someone who primarily games in the Xbox ecosystem, though, I think that if you're going to exist, you need to give your core audience something. You got to give them a reason to well, why am I here? And obviously Game Pass price went back down. So, you could maybe hang your hat on that Game Pass argument, which I think is valid. But I think it's just you need exclusive content of some sort. And I think that the end of the day for me, I just, as someone again who primarily spends their time on Xbox, I just want to see the ecosystem survive. Which maybe that's a low bar at this point, or maybe it's not. But for me, when they make Gears of War console exclusive, my thought process is, as long as they're aware that they're going to sell less copies, if they're okay with that, I like the move. And I like doing that for other games as well, because again, I think that causes competition, which makes everybody better. So that's my thought process. But at the same time, we have to be realistic in the world that we live in, the world that we live in. Components are expensive, prices are going up. Xbox is kind of finding itself in a pivotal moment in a really unfortunate time where I can't blame them for saying, okay, we really need to take care of our core audience, our core fan base who show up, who do everything, like who stay subscribed to Game Pass even after the $30 price raise, you know, like to the people that they just keep showing up for us. We got to give them something and show that, like, hey, we see you. And like, to me, I don't even see it as like a console warring thing. I just see it as like you as a customer, you want to feel appreciated, you want to feel taken care of. When you take Gears of War, or you take all your games, you put them everywhere, it's like, okay, well, I could just be a customer anywhere and still get these games. So I don't know. I definitely see what they're trying to do in that, you know, you can't, from a business perspective, you know, Satya and Amy Hood or whatever, you can't put everything exclusive right now. There was a quote, I don't have it ready, but I think it was something where Asha was trying to talk about, like, kind of like, for now, the quote was like navigating the challenges and like, this is what we could do for now. And obviously you can't bet on what a corporation is going to do, you know, a year, 2 years, kind of like what Todd said earlier. But I don't know, maybe the plan is eventually like, okay, like right now we got to make sure we're still making some money. We're going to give the core audience some stuff. Yes, an Xbox is expensive. Supposedly they're losing hundreds of dollars on Series X console sales at this point, per sale. But at the same time, they're like, okay, well, we're going to turn this around, and, you know, Fable's still going to go to PlayStation, and other games are still going to go to PlayStation. And I would like to see them be a little bit more competitive, but like I said earlier, I also want to see them survive. So if the market indications are calling for it, like, I'm still going to play the games. So, you know.
Okay.
I had a question.
Fire away.
It's just kind of odd one. Should Xbox PC games, or should Xbox games be on Steam to be more competitive, to drive Helix? Meaning, well, we're not going to put our games on Steam anymore because we have a place that you can play your PC games, and we don't want you to buy it on Steam because we're losing 30% of our revenue when it's there. I mean, I feel like Steam is basically them saying we don't have exclusives then, because we're allowing our game to go on a competitive platform, which is just kind of crazy. So I don't differentiate between Steam, Nintendo, or PlayStation and Sony. Sony was the same way. He's like, if it's on Steam, it's competing with my box, and you're not going to buy games there. And so I felt like, I think once they went to PC, I think they said the future is play our games elsewhere. So I don't know.
So
hold on, wait. Before you answer that question, let me just get some of these comments. Grim says, I stand by my stance. Xbox could fulfill much of their financial needs by making the Elder Scrolls a console and PC exclusive with day one DLC, size with creations within a year build and then release. Grim mentioned this last time we were streaming, and I completely agree with that take as well. I would ask you guys if you agree, but goddamn, you're gonna go on a rant and talk about everything. So
I'll give a quick answer. I don't know if they will, but if Asha is ultimately going to be serious about console exclusives, Elder Scrolls is the one that I'm looking at, where it's like, it's a couple years down the line, like, seeing where we're going to be at, like, that to me is going to be the benchmark of like, well, how serious are you about exclusives?
True.
That's the big game. I'll keep it short. Like, that's all I have really to say about it, where it's like, if that's the model, and like eventually you're going to continue to do more exclusives, anybody can do one or two. I mean, remember the multi-platform thing started with just 4. So, you know, are you serious about it? Okay, like, okay, you're putting Gears out, like you're putting Clockwork out. Okay. Elder Scrolls is going to be a big deal. Like, that is a very big deal that is coming in, I think 2028 is the rumor right now. So like, that's 2 years away. Like, that gives you enough time where you're going to have the numbers, you're going to have the stats that you need to make these decisions. That's what I'm currently looking at. Until 2028, until Elder Scrolls, I'm kind of just riding by the seat of my pants. I don't know what they're going to do long term.
And Ken, what are your thoughts on that then? Do you I mean, like, on Dalgrim's comments about, hey, listen, if they're actually serious about this, the game to make exclusive is Elder Scrolls. It's not Halo, it's not Gears, because Elder Scrolls will be that game that's going to bring more users to your ecosystem. What are your thoughts?
I don't think they can. I think again, game budgets is a serious problem, and I think people underestimate Microsoft in terms of, I think people blow out of proportion how much money Microsoft has. I don't think any company wants to lose that much money. And that goes to show with the Xbox Activision Blizzard. You cannot put a game, like we were talking about, me and Aushus. Elder Scrolls is not under 500 million to make. That is going to be 500 million plus. And for you to bet on that being exclusive, you're going to take a massive hit. So like your profit margins for that being an exclusive, I just don't think they're willing to take for the Elder Scrolls. So that's why I think I don't think it would be an exclusive.
Okay. Aushus, before real quick, do you think if Xbox is serious about this, trying to grow the ecosystem, Elder Scrolls and games like Fallout need to be exclusive?
Yes, but like again, man, like Xbox is always in these stupid, self-created, unwinnable situations. Because all Ash is trying to do with all this shit, that's why the strategy doesn't make sense. Like why 2/3 of the games are not third party and just 1 or 2 games are third party. Sorry, are exclusive. It's a mess. She's trying to literally create or reinvigorate the relationship that Phil and Sarah sort of pissed on. And the problem is they pissed on that relationship because they were expecting growth from the casuals, etc., etc. The issue with that is that you're in a situation that the people that are going to buy your shit is the hardcore built-in audience. That is what's keeping Sony afloat. That's what's keeping Nintendo afloat. Xbox shat on that this entire generation, so they have almost none of that left. I mean, they've got like 40 million people that have Xbox Series X and S's. And like in a traditional console war, they would have been able to sort of like, if they had exclusives and they'd done the things that they'd said that they were going to do after the Xbox One, they would have been in a very different situation right now when it comes to them being able to leverage their exclusives. Right now, imagine this. Let me paint this picture for you. Imagine Sony is in the position where they are in now, where they are struggling to have more than 2 big exclusives a year. Xbox has all these games that they announced at that showcase, and all those games were exclusive. This is after they've been consistently nurturing their first-party studios to produce this output just for Xbox consumers. They would literally be in a position where they would be challenging Sony and they'd be able to compete. But right now, 2 exclusives I don't think are going to make much of a difference. But I think she gets why she needs to do that.
So I have a follow-up question for you. So obviously, everything that Phil did it happened. It's in the past. Everything Sarah was a part of happened. It's in the past. So Asha comes in. I want to ask you for the what do you think Asha should do? What should the strategy be? Because I think that
I think Asha's
it's understandable. Yeah. It's understandable to kind of look at the entire situation because it's all under the same brand. It's all under Xbox. But clearly, they wanted to make a change. They did, and now there's someone else in charge. So, I don't know if it's fair to look at. And she's only been on the job for 3 months, so you can't really look at there's not really anything to work with. So I understand looking back, but what do you think Asha should do? She inherited this problem. Her goal is to strengthen Xbox as a brand. What should she do? What would you want? What do you think she should do if you were her?
So I think she's doing all the things that she needs to do. I can't fault her. There's not one single thing where I think she's made a wrong move. For me, I'm just so impressed by her. She understood the core problem immediately. From when she started, she understood that you can't neglect your core that continue to support your product, that are probably spending more on your product than the audience you're trying to nurture. So I think she's doing everything that she should be doing. She's so smart that she started off by softening the core audience and getting them on her side, and then got to a point where listen, there's a lot of tough conversations to be had, a lot of tough decisions to be made. Some of them will be unpopular, but we have to go through this. This is the only way we can return, quote unquote, to Xbox. So she's done everything to the T. And even communication-wise, strategy-wise, I don't think she's missed a step so far. So I would say continue. I have faith in what she's doing. She's the first executive this entire generation that's actually spoken to the core. I think Microsoft's entire thing, like they ignored every single complaint from the core audience and thought that the core will come along with whatever they do. And they went on to lie to the core even. So like, she's the first one to actually show the core audience some respect, even if it's 2 games, but at least she's saying, listen, I'm listening to you and I'm doing what you guys want as the core audience that buy our millions of controllers, that buy our hardware, that support some of our games that are still out there, and of course that are subscribed to Game Pass, that is keeping us afloat. So she's doing, to answer your question, I believe she's doing everything that she needs to do.
Ron, before you respond
change
to
a
that,
thing.
let me just get some of these comments off. Fuzzy says, if you don't follow up with Gears with stuff like Elder Scrolls with this will be absolutely pointless. And I completely agree with that. Rachel says, Asha wants to keep milking what is left of the fan base because she can't score Xbox. I don't even know what that means, bro. Let me see, what else do we have here? That's me talking. Dalgrim says audiences vote with their dollars, and that should be the only metric used to measure IP success, regardless of social media and journalistic critique. You know what? That is a very telling comment. I completely agree, and I do think one of the reasons why Xbox is in this position is because they weren't focusing on that too much. They weren't focusing on what's actually going to make money. I don't want to say focus on what the fans want, but focus on a market. If you have a target market, you get your budgets right, you always be successful. It's when you start to now focus on a particular market and not get your budgets right, you end up in a situation. But to everything Asha's just said, Rome, give us your response, and then Ken as well, let us know what your thoughts are on what Asha says in relation to how Asha Sharma has, her review so far in the last 3 months.
Yeah, I definitely agreed pretty much with what Asha said. I think Asha's done a great job so far with her first, 3 months or whatever it's been at this point, 4 months. But yeah, I think that like you have to, it's like little things, like oh man, a new Xbox boot up screen, like a badge for my achievements on my profile, like it's all little things, but it's just nice as a core user to feel cared about, right? Where it's like towards the end of the Phil stuff there, where it's just like clearly the core was an afterthought, and I think that's no matter how successful of a brand you are, or how big you are, how small you are. I think at the end of the day, you should focus on your core audience. I mean, it's what Nintendo does. Yeah, I think you're kind of seeing that with PlayStation right now, right? Where it's like they wanted to pivot to these live service games, and the PlayStation core audience is like absolutely fucking not. Like they have no interest in that. Now, granted, like you can look at like I'm not a big believer in the
absolutely
live
fucking
service.
not. No, you're right.
Absolutely
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
not. I'm not a big believer in the live service formula, but there are good live service games out there that do well. Some of them are under the Xbox platform. Some of them are under third-party platforms. But like Concord, when like the pitch for Concord, I could see why that pitch was made and it happened, right? Where it's like, man, we're gonna go for that like Guardians of the Galaxy charm, but we're gonna do like a multiplayer live service game, and it just, and again, like I could see the thought process behind like the Last of Us live service. Obviously, that didn't even make it to market, so it doesn't even really matter what the fans thought of it because it didn't happen. But yeah, like the PlayStation core audience wants their cinematic, mostly third-person games. Like that's what they want, and I love those games too. Which like I think PlayStation should keep making them because they're very good. But like you need to respect your core audience. At the end of the day, if your core audience says we don't like this, like I understand you want to grow, but like brand strength is like you could have a game that sells poorly, right? Like maybe it bombs and the sales aren't good, and you're gonna lose money that quarter. But if you tank your brand, like all the quarters are messed up because the brand's in the shit. It just doesn't matter.
Agreed. Ken, thoughts on what Usher said as well, and Rome as well. How important is the core in terms of actually building an ecosystem?
Yeah, you have to focus on the core. Those are going to be the people that's always going to pay and support you. I think.
And do you think Xbox didn't focus on the core towards the later end of Phil Spencer's tenure?
See, that's where I'm not gonna, because I see a lot of similarities when Phil Spencer became the CEO of Xbox and how Asha is going about it. I still think Phil was trying to get exclusives, but he just ran out of time because there was bad executions that he couldn't land certain shit like Halo Infinite, the Halo 4, Halo 5. There was a lot of things that should not have happened, and it did. But I don't think Phil was necessarily trying to get rid of exclusives. They just ran out of time, and he did the Xbox Activision Blizzard. Because I could have sworn when they bought Bethesda, that was the plan. They were going to make Bethesda's games exclusive. But then they double dipped, and then they bought Activision Blizzard. Mm-hmm. And in the records, weren't they also trying to make Call of Duty eventually exclusive? Because that was what Jim Ryan was fighting over. He was like, nah, we need something that's proof that this shit's always gonna be on PlayStation. In the records, correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, right. I just see a lot of similarities between what Phil was doing in the beginning, how a lot of Xbox fans was rocking with Phil in the beginning, and then just like with Asha right now. So I'm not gonna give Asha like I need time to really see what she does, because I think what the last Xbox regime did and with the Xbox One, it really messed them up.
It damaged the trust, basically.
Yeah, like I can't trust Xbox right now. Mm-hmm. And I agree. I think this is going to be short term because the money is just not. I don't know how you come back from this. So I hope they can do something with this. I hope they can stick with the plan. Mm-hmm. But we'll see. We'll see.
I think one point that you did raise that, or like similar to the point that you're raising, is that if we think about it, the previous administration spoke heavily about exclusive games and how you can find Bethesda games where Game Pass exists. They said 3 games. They said all these things. Then fast forward, it's like, well, we're not going to put a ring fence around all our games. They're going to go everywhere. Like, that is a complete contradiction to what they were saying before. Shut up. And then you fast forward, and Ashes are like, oh no, we're going to go back to exclusives. They're like, bro, I've heard this shit before.
Yeah,
like, I've heard this.
Case by case, man. Case by case.
Oh, now we're doing case by case again. So I completely get the frustration, and I see why some fans are still kind of like, yeah, you know what? I will wait and see. Now, Todd, I'll put this question to you, and I'll get to this one to all you guys around now. What Asha was saying, there was everything that they're doing makes sense, like in terms of what Asha can do at this moment. If there were games to make exclusive, to try to get the core fan base back on your side, or at least to kind of prep them for what's happening to the future, was Gears of War and Clockwork Revolution the 2 games to do that with? I guess what I'm trying to say is people might still have some apprehension, like, hey, why is Spyro an exclusive? Why is Spyro not an exclusive, and why is Senua not an exclusive? Okay, people can have those questions, but if you had to pick 2 games to make exclusive, do you think they made the right choice?
So I'll kind of cover a couple of things here. Was this for me? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Is it my turn? Okay.
Well, clearly just wanted to interject.
I will say quickly, no.
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think those are wrong games, but I think the bigger part is there's really 3 layers to this biggest problem right here. The exclusives, right, or the games from Xbox Game Studio. Then you've got the hardware, and then you have their strategy that kind of don't connect very well. You had Game Pass, which became a great idea because they didn't have enough games, to fill out from first party. Finally, they did, and then Game Pass is great. But the problem is Game Pass was limited on where you could get it, where you could play it. It also cut into sales, which they still wanted to have. And their strategy to put things on Game Pass, if those games like Call of Duty and all these other games, Starfield, wasn't enough to push boxes, I just think the right there tells you that people are okay not playing Xbox games. I think that's what it tells you. Or they would have to buy the system to go there. So I think that's one of the problems. A lot of their games under-delivered. They haven't done great. You haven't seen, except for Forza, really a game of the year. You've had some nice surprises. Some games have done well, but even look at Obsidian. Obsidian's a great studio, but they have not made a game that has been a sales success. They've done okay. And so I'm thinking at this point, I'm like, well, maybe that's the problem. They've been too laissez-faire with the studios. Phil was too nice. They kind of let them do whatever they want to do, rather than saying, no, you're going to make a Fallout spin-off game because we got this big property. We're going to put more resources into Elder Scrolls 6 because we can't let it take 10 years to make. There's all these things that missteps they've done. I mean, Halo not being a launch title. I mean, that's where I'm just struggling. I'm like, they've got so much money invested into the brand by all these studios and everything, and you see the output and you just say, maybe Microsoft is just not good at video games. Maybe we're just not good. We can't do all these things because we're used to launching non-media focused, non-entertainment, non-art. Our focus is on services and operating systems. And they've done some decent hardware, but that is also not what they're known for. They're not an Apple. So I think that's part of the problem too. They also, if they were going to grow, not reducing the price of their hardware is basically saying, we're not going to do anything to get people in the door because we're not going to make it cheaper, which sucks because they had Series S, the original, for $300, and people still didn't stand up. People still didn't care. So I guess at this point, I don't know what they can do different than they did with Series X because they had exclusives when that launched. They had all these things, and it's like, what are you bringing different this time? If Felix is the only difference is you can play PC games on it, I mean, okay.
Wait, before Ushers jumps in there, because I feel like this might be a back and forth. I'll real quick, and then I'll head on to Rome. But let's say you are in the ecosystem, right? So you're like a Rome, you're like a me, you're like a, whoever who's in the ecosystem. You're like a Clubro, for example. One of the guys online who is going down with the ship. If there were two games that you say, okay, you know what, this isn't gonna work out. I think they're lying. They're not, they're gonna go multi-platform in the future. But there were two games that was gonna give you hope that they might go towards multi-platform. Sorry, they might go back towards exclusives. What two games do you think would that have to be? Like, I'm trying to see, do you think they got it right? Even if you think they're gonna be wrong in the long term.
It's gotta be Call of Duty. It's gotta be the games that you have to have. I know they aren't, but I mean, if they're seriously gonna be, if you can only play Call of Duty there, that is still their biggest title in Forza. Make those games say that's the only way you're going to play them. So if they're not going to make that decision, then these smaller games, they aren't going to move anywhere there. If players didn't care about those games,
I actually think that's a good point, and I know Usher wants to jump in, but I'll ask you the question first, and and then you can respond to Todd, because Todd says, if there's two games that you wanted to show people that you were serious about, and if you could in this hypothetical situation, he thinks it would be Call of Duty and Forza. Which I think he's looking at it from a business point of view. Is like, well, what are your best selling titles that's actually going to draw people in? And I think I get why he might be trying to say that, because in his mind, Gears isn't going to bring people to the ecosystem, because Gears might make you, the fan base, happy, but it's not going to bring PlayStation users in. Forza probably will, and Call of Duty will. But anyways, before you respond to that specific point, and Ken, you can jump in too before Ushers goes on his tirade. What two games, Rome, do you think Xbox had to make exclusive to give the fan base some level of hope or trust that in the future things will all be exclusive, maybe?
So I definitely see Todd's point from the business side of it, and I don't disagree with it. And I think that there could, if you're saying I could pick two games, and I would say you kind of do a healthy balance there, where assuming that, Halo is just a campaign remake. So I would say I think Gears of War is one of the two that you make exclusive. It's something that shows a commitment to your core, and it's like, you could put Mario on other platforms and it would sell billions of copies on all platforms, but Nintendo's not doing that. Not that they're doing exclusives in general, or multi-platform in general, but I think that if you have those core tentpole franchises, I think you have to keep them on there at all costs. Just because, again, you're talking about brand strength. I think you strengthen your brand with that. But I also think that there is definitely a thought process where, like, a Call of Duty or an Elder Scrolls, or, those games that are going to do huge numbers. I mean, I don't think they can do Call of Duty right now, so I don't even think about it, because I think it's a 10-year deal with Sony.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
10 years. So I think we have like 6 years left. But I mean, if all bets are off, I would say Gears of War and Call of Duty should be exclusive. If all that stuff on the upcoming slate. But other than that, like, I wouldn't put another Halo game on PlayStation. I wouldn't put another Fable. Like, I can understand that this Fable took a long time to make and the budget was high, kind of similar to what you were saying about Elder Scrolls earlier. This was a new genre, a change of genre for Playground. They had to get a lot of stuff in place. The game took a while to get right, with the assumption that moving forward, they have these things kind of in place where it shouldn't take as long to make the next Fable game. You know, you would hope that those budgets aren't as big moving forward. I don't know, or something like that. But I mean, I would say Gears and Call of Duty. If you know, that would be my answer.
But within like their confines of removing Call of Duty, do you think Clockwork was the next game to make exclusive?
You know, Clockwork for me, obviously. So I'm 17 years into Xbox. I know because I was looking at the badge thing when the update came through with the achievement thing. But so the 360 was kind of where I got in with Xbox. And when I look at Clockwork Revolution, it really gives me like BioShock vibes for obvious reasons. So like BioShock, which was a 360 exclusive for years, I know it ended up not being exclusive overall, but that to me is very Xbox DNA branded. So I mean, like, yeah, I don't mind that being one that they go with. If some of these bigger titles like Call of Duty and stuff are off the table and you already put so much money into Fable, maybe you just want Fable to kind of get some of that cost back. Okay. But yeah, I don't have an issue with Clockwork being the second game that they went with over, say, a Spyro or Senua.
Yeah.
I mean, because I think that there could be some thought process to Senua, and this is just obviously complete speculating, spitballing, but you know, obviously a lot of people weren't happy with Hellblade 2, and Senua seems to be them kind of course correcting that. They've made it really clear that it's not Hellblade 3. Hellblade, what more people want it to be. It's going to be an somewhat open world. I read more combat, more boss fights. Like, it's going to go for, you know, improving on that gameplay. And so I do think there could be a strategy where it's like you put Senua out there on other platforms, and if by the time Hellblade 3 comes out you're doing exclusives, it could be like that last impression of Hellblade to a PlayStation audience is not Hellblade 2, which, you know, it's very cinematic, looks great, it does a lot of things good. Yeah, sure. Yeah, if you want to look at it that way. Where they're like, oh no, this is what Hellblade is. So, the Hellblade is only on Xbox. You're thinking of it as, oh, it's this game with this great combat with this, and it's like that could intrigue audiences more. So, again, that's just
no. I see your point there. I'll say this and I'll pass on to you, Ken. I think if you had to make two games exclusive, I actually think Gears of War and Clockwork are the two games to do that too. The reason why I say Gears of War is because Gears of War is an IP that is obviously extremely special to the Xbox fan base. And when you're doing a return to Gears of War game in, you know, Gears of War E-Day, and it's going to go back to its roots, it's going to go back to what the Gears of War the Xbox fans wanted, I think that is important to have it as an exclusive, especially when you've put Gears of War Remaster on PlayStation, because now what you're telling people with that decision is it doesn't matter if a game shows up as a remaster on PlayStation, but taking the sequel off. That then gives your fan base hope that, okay, Halo's going to appear on PlayStation, but that means that when the actual sequel of Halo, the Halo 6, whatever it's going to be called, comes out, that is going to be an exclusive to us. So I think there's that connection there that makes sense for that fan base. And the reason why I think Clockwork is more important than even Halo, even though I know Halo is important to the Xbox fan base, is because it's still a remaster. It's not a new Halo game. It's a remaster, so, you know, whatever, just put it aside. What Clockwork shows, though, is that we are willing to take new IPs that we have created and make them exclusive. And it's an in-house studio, a small studio, that we have nurtured into being a AAA blockbuster game. It's an RPG game as well.
and we think that's more important. Now, you might make an argument that like, hey, Fable about Fable, and I think that's a fair point, right? Just by the nature of Clockwork being a new IP shows that like this, because if you did Fable, fair enough, but then you kind of go back to this idea of like, okay, so it's just legacy IPs that's going to be exclusive, then all your new IPs going forward is going to be everywhere. That's not a good selling point. But once you do the Gears of War E-Day, you're telling people that like, yo, IPs that are legacy are going to be part of us still. And with the Clockwork, you're telling people that new IPs will be a part of us going forward. I think you kind of take two birds with one stone if you do it this way. At least those are my thoughts.
I
And
agree.
Ken, cool. Ken, what are your thoughts?
That's a really good point you just made. I didn't think about that. It had me reconsider. I'm like, maybe this is maybe this is a good two games. Maybe this is 2 games, but I definitely agree with Todd. I would put like it's got to be Call of Duty. I'm thinking more of the business, which you get your eyes on. I would say if you're gonna do, I would do Call of Duty and Gears E-Day if I were gonna do exclusive. I like those 2 because again it appeals the legacy and then what everybody really wants, and that would bring a lot of people over, at least considering. You would definitely have to put some thought towards it. So yeah, I would go with those 2. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
I forgot about that deal though. Yeah, about the non-exclusive. Yeah, Call of Duty's announced. One question though is, what I thought Starfield was supposed to be that game, right? That was a new IP. It was Bethesda, biggest thing ever, and that was exclusive. And it didn't move the dial. It didn't increase Xbox sales. Didn't drive Game Pass sales. So I'm like, I'm just wondering if there's just no solve. This is a nice to have for fans, but ultimately, if you look at the business perspective, they want to make the most money possible, and they want to be the #1 entertainment company, they said, and they also want to have the most active users. So when they say that, and they said exclusives, I'm like, I think this is just a nice showcase, just like all the things they've done with like these small decisions that have been popular. I feel like this is just a gesture, more so than a strategy long term. That's just my 2 cents.
Just before you respond to that, let me get to these comments. Richie says the creative freedom policy from Phil Spencer destroyed Xbox. And then Richie then also says, Fuzzy says they have way bigger games now than they did 5 years ago. Elder Scrolls will move way more consoles than Medium.
I agree.
So true. Richie follows up with that saying that those devs stopped caring. They were only there to collect paychecks in California. There's some truth there. And Fuzzy says Call of Duty shouldn't be exclusive. It would die. Don't know if it would die now, but I think they're
I agree with that.
I do think there's a world where you can make Call of Duty exclusive, but and I've talked to Ushers about this in Rome as well. You need to have the foundations in place to build from. You can't just pull it away. You need your PC storefront to be amazing. You need to kick off with a new console, etc. And there's a lot that goes into that. Richie says, imagine you're a normal gamer, go to Walmart and see Halo for PS5. My reaction is Xbox dead? That's a good point. Delgrim says, my only incentive for having a Game Pass Ultimate subscription were my children. They fill the role of the video rental store of the 90s. Rent a game, and if you liked it enough, you bought a copy. This is like one of the reasons why I never go by people who hated Game Pass. Like, it's such a consumer-friendly product, and as a kid, I would have loved it. But these same people who probably rented games in the past and didn't have any issues with it there, same people who went to stores and bought used games, never had an issue with it there, but now all of a sudden they have an issue. Grim says, I miss hard copies of my media. In fact, GOG is actually better than Steam in that area, as you can burn installation. Also for archiving and hard backups. That is true.
I think I think the funny little thing, just quick chime in, because I'm a big physical collector. I mean, obviously, Ty, you know this. I have a whole nother room over there that's wall-to-wall physical games. In an all-digital world, there's a lot of appeal to Game Pass because you don't own any of these digital games. You spend $70 on a digital game. You do not own that game. So, like, at that point, for me as a physical collector, like, that just makes Game Pass even more appealing because it's just like, now it's $22 a month, which is way better than 30, obviously. So, I'm paying $22 a month. I didn't buy Forza, admittedly. I played it on Game Pass, and I had a great time with it. So that was, kind of like what you were saying, Ty. It's nice to have that pool of games just kind of there, ready to go, and they're constantly adding new games.
Game Pass hate is something. I want to. I'll never get it, but the truth is, I do get it. It's very just console war focused. It's not about anything else but that.
Yeah, I think the worry is it's too good to be true, and it's going to go away, and then it's like, oh, crap, what am I going to do? Because I think everybody's, oh, it's really profitable. Like, well, apparently we saw the numbers now, and it's not that profitable because it just can't grow. It hasn't grown.
Interesting news on that point, and I think we'll get to that shortly.
Yeah.
And Richie says when a game is exclusive to Xbox, the media will do their best to destroy the game.
That's true.
Yep. Fuzzy says Starfield did move some consoles and Game Pass subscriptions. They just didn't follow it up or anything, which is kind of why I was trying to allude to Call of Duty as well. You can't, if you're gonna make something exclusive, sure, but the question is, what else do you have to back that up? And if you don't have anything to back that up, then you might as well just not bother.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with him on that though, because I know, Todd, you were saying like I thought Starfield was supposed to be the game. It's like I know that we have a term in gaming that's console seller. I genuinely don't believe that any one game could move. Like I know that like we're gonna see in November, a lot of people are gonna upgrade their consoles for Grand Theft Auto. That's obviously a thing, but keep in mind these people that are on Xbox One and PS4, they're not just upgrading. Like when they upgrade to get Grand Theft Auto, there's going to be 6 years. Well, I guess not 6 years, but like 3 years of games that have started to kind of not be on other consoles that are also going to be there available for them, along with all of their other library. You know what I mean? So it's like I get the thought process where it's like, oh, Starfield came out, why didn't Xbox sell millions of consoles? It's like because it was one game, and you need to be more consistent.
Compounding effect.
I think the worst thing that Phil Spencer ever did really was just that, Starfield came out and it just didn't move the numbers, and then Redfall wasn't good, and then he's just like, oh, well, can't do it. It's like, what an odd time to quit.
I give up, basically.
It was literally the weirdest time to quit. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? Like, right before this pipeline of games started coming out, he's just like, Starfield just didn't sell enough. Well.
What game is that? You got Redfall.
Oh, he's got the special edition of Redfall.
You got the Redfall. This is a true Xbox fan right here, man.
I really wanted Redfall to be good. That was such a disappointment.
I got my refund check right here. But they refunded the money.
Oh, right, there was a thing with that, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes, because they never released. The
DLC.
The DLC. They sold it, so they had to refund it. And for some reason, they were never going to send me my money back. But I finally hounded them enough, and they sent me a check.
That's
good,
been
cash though. Sorry.
I mean, I think Switch is a bit of a problem. So
yeah, I think Switch. I think quite honestly, I think Nintendo is the only one that really has system sellers because they focus on first party more so than third party. And I think where PlayStation and Xbox struggle is they are predominantly third party boxes. That's what they are. They always have been. They sell because they just don't output the amount of games to be profitable from their first party studios. They rely on that revenue. So I get it why Xbox still wants to have a box where they can get 30% from third party. So yeah.
Fuzzy says COD costs like 600 to 800 million plus every single year. It's not like other games. It has to be everywhere that's going to run it. This year is going to be the first year. It's on a PS4 and Xbox One. Ushers, finally, we get to you. What are your thoughts overall on the question of if you had to take you had to make two games exclusive for the Xbox? Do you think Clockwork Revolution and Gears of War eBay are the games to make? And do you believe that even though these games are exclusive, ultimately Xbox will still go towards a multi-platform approach, and all this is just fluff?
Let's just be real here. Like Clockwork or what was it? Clockwork? Yeah. Like no one's gonna buy that game. Like I'm sorry, but this artsy-fartsy stuff that Xbox has been making for a minute now, like South of Midnight, that nobody shows up for. That to me is a wasted. Like they should have made that stuff. They should have tossed that to to be multi-platform. Like I didn't care. I watched that whole thing. I'm like, oh, okay, this is novel, and I like In Exile, but nobody's coughing up money to buy that thing. So for me, keep it simple. Stick to what people want. What do Xbox players want? They want Forza. They want Gears, they want Halo, and they want whatchamacallit,
Sea of Thieves?
Fable. No, like no, like no one is checking. No core gamer is checking for those games. I'm sorry, but like, look, Sea of Thieves is popular. I get that, but I'm just saying, stick to what works. And at this point in time, you're saying return to Xbox. Those are the franchises that are associated with Xbox. For me, I would have done whatever I needed to do to make Fable an exclusive, which is almost impossible at this point. I get that, but Fable and Gears, that is more 360 than anything like associated with Clockwork. Like, Clockwork is such an obscure title to me. Like, I get the Bioshock thing. I love Bioshock, but people don't have an affinity for that IP. You're looking at IPs that are gonna bring people back to Xbox. Those are the two I would have chosen. If I could have gone further, I would have made sure that Forza Horizon 6 sticks to being Xbox. Like, just keep it simple. Like, this console wars are not complicated. You know, winning a console war is not complicated. It's only complicated when you're trying to do, which is what she said. They stretch themselves too thin. It's when you're trying to do too many things at once. If you stick to the fundamentals of what it takes to get a core audience satiated or hooked, that's it. That's what Sony did last time in the PS4 era, and that's what they did in the beginning of this generation, and it worked. Stick to the basics, and then the people will come, because that's what they're there for. No one is there for Clockwork Orange. I'm sorry, so Clockwork Orange, Clockwork. No one is there for that game. Nobody cares about that IP because it's a brand new IP. I get what you're saying. I get the sentiment of that, but I think it was Todd who said this. Like, I mean, nobody showed up for Starfield. Like, nobody showed up for Starfield, but it didn't have that impact that it needed to have as a brand new IP to bring people in. That was even a much more anticipated IP because it was from Bethesda. It was supposed to be the next Fallout thing, and it didn't become that, unfortunately. So that's what I would say, is that don't make this complicated. Stick to what you know your core fan base wants to see on your platform. So the reason I would have said pull Halo off PlayStation, because that's
wait. So your two games is Halo and Gears.
It would be Gears
and Forza.
No. My two games would be Fable, and it would be Gears.
Okay.
If you could get Forza, Gears, and Halo, even though it's a remake or a remaster or whatever, but I still feel that would sort of like get your core fan base back behind Halo again. So yeah, it's either Fable or Gears, or Fable, Gears, and Halo.
So just to chime in real quickly, just because we picked two, I completely agree. I don't think Fable, Halo, Forza, or Gears of War should ever touch a different platform.
Yeah.
I would, just throwing that out there, because as you're talking, I'm like, yeah, I definitely agree. But I also think that there needs to be new IP coming to the platform as well, which is why I went.
Yeah.
Gears.
No.
Yeah.
Can you agree with that as well?
Yeah, I agree. That's perfectly said. Rome.
I think from a from a business point of view, I think Fable is the bigger IP, in the sense that like everyone's loving it. Like, I saw the 30-minute trailer, and I thought to myself, oh yeah, I think this is gonna sell well. So I think we all agree there. I think where maybe me and Rome agree here is that from a financial perspective, just because that game took so long, like I think it's come up on 10 years now, and we're seeing that Xbox is not in great margins. Like, Asher's thinking like, yo, something gotta give here, man. Like, I'm pulling Gears away, which is apparently costing 500 million, and I'm gonna pull Fable away, which is probably gonna cost like 600 million. Like, I can't do both. I gotta pick one. And I think she believes that Fable sells more and makes more money overall, which boosts Xbox. And then once Xbox is boosted, then they can take that money and reinvest into the things that they actually want to do, which overall grows the platform. I think that's their strategy here. And maybe, listen, if Fable is that game that's going to do really well, I think Romy might have brought it up. It's the idea of the Trojan horse. Like, okay, Fable's done really well. It sells really well on PlayStation. PlayStation fans love it. Then boom, Helix comes out. The next one is an exclusive. Maybe some PlayStation fans might want to gravitate towards Xbox, etc. But Luscious, let us know your thoughts on, like, do you think all this is
fluff, right? And I have a comment here from Matthew Ball, where he says that, hey, listen, we have a pipeline of exclusive games coming through. It's not just this. And what Mabudi then followed up where he said that, like, we could have just announced Gears as an exclusive, and we could have announced Clockwork as an exclusive the following year, but we did it on purpose to announce both of them as an exclusive to let you guys know that this is not a once-off thing. What are your thoughts on that? Do you believe that at least Asher and the new administration on Xbox is actually trying to move towards exclusive games?
Yeah, because they don't have a choice. I mean, she said something that's very important, that they understand you cannot grow an audience with $1,000 console. So who's going to buy into your ecosystem or your new ecosystem is the same people that bought into your old ecosystem, because they are much more comfortable coming in at a price that is closer to that. She understands that we're not going lower. We're not going to have another Series S type console that's going to be below 500. So if you want to get new people in, that's a challenge that she needs to figure out. But she understands that they still need to make money every year. How do you make money? You make money by monetizing. I think somebody said it earlier, by monetizing the existing audience. So I think they mean it, because I've said this so many times with people that are always anti-console war. I've said that, why does Netflix have exclusive? Why does Amazon have exclusives? You cannot build a platform and console did this before everyone else. They are the ones that figured out having exclusive content is what brings people to your platform, and then they stay for the third-party titles that are available everywhere. So I think they mean it. I don't know if they're gonna honor that promise, because they are in another unwinnable situation. So I think they mean it at this time. I don't think they're trying to pull your leg or anything like that. But as she said, the plan is the plan until it's not the plan. So they might change their mind in the future, but I think for now they mean it.
Okay, well, that's a good talking point, and it's a good segue into the next discussion about Asher Sharma. On Wednesday, Xbox CEO Asher Sharma published a note sent to staff in which he shared realities that we need to navigate, such as that his annual revenue has declined nearly $500 million in 5 years. Hardware costs are up 4 times since last year, and his studio system is overextended. According to the Bloomberg report, the notes to staff was sent in advance, planning significant layoffs across the Xbox business, a reduction to its marketing and other budgets. It's also rumored that Xbox is now looking to reinvest more in their bigger IPs, such as Halo, Fallout, and Elder Scrolls, where it seems that they've been overspending on indie-like games. Matthew Ball also said something similar, that Xbox can't be making niche-like games, and they need to start focusing on titles that will bring in more users. Before we actually get into the details of the potential closures and what games that they're talking about, Jess Gordon did release a report recently on the games that did really well for Xbox and the games that did really bad for Xbox as well. And I'll try to put that up in a second. But I'm Todd, I got a question for you real quick. This is more of a business point before we segue. Do you think them talking like this and potentially trying to hint that the previous administration messed up is a good strategy, in the sense that it allows the current administration more leeway within the fan base and within the community to actually make tougher decisions? Because now, instead of everyone saying you guys are bad, they're saying, no, those guys are bad, they messed up, and we understand that you have to clean up the mess. Like, what are your thoughts in kind of throwing the previous guys under the bus somewhat?
I think it's really just a statement to say things will be different rather than more of the same. I am curious how quickly they are going to make substantial changes that really impact their business model. I don't know how patient Satya is to continue to fund Xbox at this level and not get the results that he would get from another business if he were even just investing that money elsewhere. I just saw a note that they're going to invest $150 billion into AI next year. Maybe Microsoft would like to use some of that funding they put into Xbox and put it into more AI or another business model. I don't know, but those are the type of decisions Satya is asked by his shareholders to say, is Xbox still a good investment? If you look at what came out of it, people would say no. You don't want to keep putting good money after bad. So the question becomes, yes, hard decisions are going to be made. I'm glad they finally said that, because now at least they can hopefully not keep painting a cheery picture and then announce layoffs and studio closures. But if they did announce that there is going to be more money put into the bigger properties, then they're not going to get more money overall. They're just going to have to restructure how their funding goes, which means most likely studios will be closed, mass layoffs, because humans are the most expensive part of a company. We cost money, we use benefits, we take vacation, and we want raises, and we want a higher quality of life. And that's where I think you're going to see either studios closed or turn into it's going to be the Activision Call of Duty model. It's going to be support studios that support those bigger franchises so games come out quicker. So Bethesda's finally told Todd Howard, great, love you, bud, but you can't take 10 years for a game that's going to now cost $800 million, and it's going to be exclusive where we just don't have the user base. So you got to make your games quicker, faster, and get out so we can actually say, here's our pipeline, and this is why you're going to buy our box. And I think potentially they're going to change their hardware model too, because they said they screwed up their hardware model where eventually they were not stockpiling parts and things to build. They were spot buying, and I work in sourcing. Spot buying is the most expensive way to do your business because you're making short-term situations. You're not using a volume to leverage lower costs. And because of that, I just really worry that a lot of their hopes and dreams are not going to come through because they just don't have the user base at the cost of what their entry will be, unless they introduce a model that tends to be rent to own, like they did previously, where you basically spend $30 a month, you get the hardware, you get a subscription, but it's a 5-year commitment. I think that's the only way they can really make their hardware affordable, or they go deeper into the cloud and they say, you know what, hardware doesn't matter anymore. You're going to play everything on the cloud. We're going to get you a Stream Deck or whatever, like, kind of like the Logitech G Cloud, and go there, because that's something they do have. So they have a lot of cloud, but they got to pay for that too. So I kind of feel like this was the necessary evil. They had to do it. And I think saying bad times are ahead or hard decisions, and we've already heard that there are a lot of those decisions coming up. So yes, we can love the indie games, the small games like South of Midnight. I enjoyed it quite a bit, but it's just not where you would say that's a smart business decision anymore. So I think Asha's doing the right thing. She is coming from a non-media centric focus. She's coming from businesses where they've done well. And you look at who's on her team. She's not picking people from the video game industry. She's not picking people that have that relationship with media and entertainment. They're there to make hardcore decisions on what makes sense from business sense, maintaining as much users as they can, and potentially get Xbox maybe to be spun off or do something completely different. So yeah, I think the fans of Xbox are just going to have to be happy they get the games more so than anything else. And that's kind of where I'm leaning.
Mm-hmm. Before I head on to you, Rome, and Ken, I want to read these comments. Richie says, State of Decay 3 has two paths, be an instant hit or broken launch like State of Decay 2, slowly build the fan base. And they need to be an instant hit. None of that broken stuff no more. Doug Grimm says, Fable would see more hype if not all the female design choices left people feeling like they were looking at their older moms and grandmothers. Just saying. I did notice that in the recent trailers that they kind of focus more on the diverse range of characters in terms of like the male figures and characters dressing differently and etc. etc. I think one of the even I kind of give this flaws to Crimson Desert, where I said that like for them to choose a single protagonist as the hero as opposed to having like the ability to create your own character seems a bit counterintuitive. And the funny thing is that studio, they're actually known for, like Pearl Abyss, they're actually known for having a great character creation model, but they decided to kind of like, go towards this other direction, which the fans didn't really want in the first place. And now fans are making mods so they can create the characters that they want. So maybe some, food for thought for some of these developers. Fuzzy says, I think they will have a cheaper option for next gen. I think they need to. Well, I think it's complicated, but I won't get into it. And I think that's no, sorry, there's one more here. Dalgrim says Todd is a great developer lead, but a terrible manager. Xbox left him in a terrible position that doesn't play to his talents. I think Microsoft has recognized this and is restructuring accordingly. I think a lot of things that we're seeing now, including like this company we're talking about, is Xbox realizing, or Microsoft to an extent as well, saying the way things were done before just isn't working. And here are the games that just released that basically were successes for Xboxes, but problems. So the first successes, high profitability, is Forza, Age of Empires, Grounded, Oblivion Remastered, Sea of Thieves, Forza Horizon 6, and Flight Simulator. The failures are South of Midnight, Hellblade 2, Forza Motorsport, Avowed, Outer Worlds 2, Keeper, and Kiln. And then we have studios that, you know, the money just didn't go anywhere, aka Everwild, Blackbird, and Perfect Dark. And we have games that are promising for Xbox, but they went over budget hugely. And that's Fable and State of Decay 3. I think what's telling here, and I'll go to you first, Ken, is the successes are kind of easy to kind of come to grips with. They kind of make sense. The ones that are problematic, aka South of Midnight, Hellblade 2, Forza Motorsport, Avowed, Outer Worlds 2, Keeper, and Kill, are these games surprises to you? And with the recent report that, you know, some of these studios might get shut down, which studio do you think is the most at risk?
The one that surprised me the most is South of Midnight, because it's like Pentiment. Like, what did you expect it to do? And again, South of Midnight delivered quality from what you were getting in terms of the like I said, the storytelling in that game. The writing was really good. The combat was the weakest part of the game, but they delivered a solid experience. And I thought that team, Compulsion, this is like a team where it's like, okay, you're giving them a game. I felt like you should be looking at what their output was, which is quality. Like, is it good? Is it a good game? What did they do well? I'm not looking at the sales for South of Midnight. That shit is not going to sell like that. But where do you go? Because again, PlayStation, the studios at PlayStation, they had a relationship with. They gave him a game, and then they gave him another game, and then they just continued to work together. You can't do this thing where you give these guys a game, they ship the game, it's well, but then you're looking at sales, but then some studios, you're looking at it, looking differently at it. So it's confusing to me what they're really expecting from South of Midnight, Compulsion. And I would say they are at risk of being shut down because, like, what next game are they working on? I don't think they're working on another game. So it just sucks to see, because I feel like this studio could have kept getting better. But if they're deeming this as a failure, like, I just don't know the metrics that they're looking at this from.
Just kind of want to go off of that. So I think South of Midnight 2 was pitched, was what Jez said recently. I could be wrong about that, or someone said that's Compulsion is pitched that. That's kind of what they're, I guess, hoping to be working on.
Why would they do that?
Because, so here's my thing, right? And I think that I completely agree with Ken, because it's like, I stand by the fact that I very much enjoyed my time with South of Midnight. It is a AA game, but I very much enjoyed it. And I think that, you know, I know, Ty, we've had a lot of conversations like this in the Discord and stuff, but it's like, gaming, there's two sides to it. You have the art side and you have the business side. And for success to really work, you need both these sides to come together and produce. And I think that I don't think it's fair to look at a game like South of Midnight, which, like, it has every right to exist. And I do think that Xbox should be making big games, but also I think it should have the size and capacity to be able to make some of these smaller niche projects. But you can't have the smaller niche projects be your top game. And so like, yeah, like I know I joke about this with you, Ty, but like I'm gonna blame the managers a little bit on this, where it's like, if the studio went and they made South of Midnight, right, and it's a good game, that's what South of Midnight was, or that's what Compulsion's focused on. They're focused on making the game that they want to make, and they're making it good. It got greenlit by management, and they're making the game that they pitched to management. Regardless of how you feel about it, like that's just what it is. So when I go look at it and it's like, okay, it's a good game, there's definitely some improvements that could be made on the combat side, but the narrative is good, the world is good. The world, from what I remember, the report was that was why they pitched the sequel, because they feel like they have a lot of world to work with there, which I think is definitely true. But like, yeah, I don't think it's fair to look at a South of Midnight or a Hellblade 2 and be like, yeah, this needs to be the big hit. But the problem is Xbox needs big hits. So it's like, okay, well, where are the big franchises at? Like, that would be the question that I would have. And it's that, okay, well, they bought Bethesda, and a lot of these Bethesda IP are taking a decade to make. They're, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta have pillars here, your big hitters, so that way you can do some more cool stuff. Especially back then when you're talking about, I guess even currently, you're talking about Game Pass. Like, the Game Pass model is a model that requires you to have a steady flow of games. So I think especially if you're committing to the Game Pass model, which especially before the multi-platform approach, like that was what they were pushing. Like, you need to have a steady flow of games, and some of those games are going to be smaller games, and that's okay. But you need to have big games to you have to have a portfolio, a healthy portfolio, is what I'm saying.
So on South of Midnight, I think the issue here is, I think there's three things. Number one, I think if you look at the timeline from Compulsion's last game to this game, it looks like South of Midnight took around 5 to 7 years to make. For a game that is a AA game like that, I think the problem that you're gonna face is, and I think, you know, some people have said that like these kind of AA games don't really sell that well, so you need these games to be kind of, you know, taken shorter. But the fact that South of Midnight took around 7 years to come out means that for 7 years, in the whole time of being, you know, acquired by Xbox, what they've delivered, because I always say this, yeah, every single developer, every single studio is a chess piece. And when your chess piece is South of Midnight, boom, you drop it there. The other guy drops Ghost of Yote. Like, it doesn't matter about your creativity or creativity. Like, you already lost that battle. It's done. It's finished, right? And if you want to say, okay, well, Sony's not going to use Ghost of Yote, what they're going to use instead is Astro Ball. But then what then you then have to think about it this way is like, well, your chess piece for South of Midnight is the Queen, because it's taken 7 years to make, and you have over 120 people working in that studio. So that's a huge budget already. But then Astro Ball takes 4 years or 3 years to make. And there's only 40 developers. Like, but Sony has spent less resources in taking out your piece that costs way more to make. I think that's the issue that Xbox has, where there's these niche-like games that they're doing, and what really should be, this is what really should happen. I want to make this kind of niche-like game. Cool, fine. Here's your 20 euro. Here's your 10 million or 20 million budget. And Jaffe said it himself. He said that like he will, you know, propose a game to, you know, the company, and the company will say like, well, based on what we're seeing and what you're saying, this isn't going to sell that much, so it has 20 million. And then he'll go to another platform holder, and they'll say, well, we'll give you 35. What these guys are saying is that we're willing to give you more if you can show us that this game is going to be more profitable. And I think what happened in this situation with Xbox, with some of these titles that we're talking about, is they completely just ignored the profitability part of things, and they went on to just make whatever they wanted to make. South of Midnight, you know, one of my friends played it recently, loves it. I have a few friends who've played it now, love it, right? And even Ushers, he's gone now because his internet's gone. But he said like he was good, but at some point he said while playing, he was like, "Yo, the gameplay's boring, it's so repetitive." Like, he just felt like it was boring.
Yeah, but that what I don't get is like Xbox, you have to these studios, you bought the studios back in 2017. A lot of them are putting out their first game. I understand the timeline got pushed up because of the spending that you were doing, but like, you have to give it time. You're stuck with these studios. So it's like, what are you you're just gonna shutter this studio when you know they could put out something. But again, like, I get your comparison, but you're late to this shit. Like Sony went through all of this. Like what Xbox is doing with their studios, trying to scale up. They weren't Santa Monica was not always like this. Naughty Dog was not always like this. You have to take time. Like you're stuck with this situation now. And if you're gonna back out of this, you're gonna try swinging. You're gonna try doing these big bets, and they're not gonna pay off because you don't have that many big bets. Like Bethesda, we all thought like that's gonna be the game changer, but they keep messing up. So what do you have? Like again, your new IPs that you guys don't really try a new IP because that's too risky. But you have to start from somewhere. You guys are starting over.
But this is where I would say
completely agree with Ken. By the way, completely agree.
But this is why I say like they're not like great. Like creating new IPs. Clockwork is a new IP, right? Pentiment is a new IP. But I think the issue that Xbox has kind of faced there is they're creating these new IPs, which is fine, but they're not focusing on like, well, what's going to sell here, right? So Rom, you said that you got to merge the business with the creativity, and I would phrase it this way: I think you merge the business is the first foundation. So, for example, we're gonna give you 20 million, and you gotta give us a return of like whatever it is, 40%, like whatever it is, yeah. Within those constraints, you can do whatever you need to do. Now, you might make some decisions that leads to a profitability margin, but then you can make your decisions that is more creative. Because I think if you do it that way, you're always gonna keep in mind that like, okay, this needs to be profitable. I think Xbox did it the other way around, where it was like you just do what you want to do, and you don't need to focus on the fact that it's gonna be profitable or not. And
but that's.
But even in the Double Fine documentary, they said, okay, so you purchase us now. What happens? I'm happy they said, just keep doing what you're doing.
Yep.
This
they
doesn't
didn't.
work like this.
Yeah,
But see, that's kind of where. Oh, sorry.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I in my company we've acquired lots of different businesses throughout time. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and then sometimes you just have to say it's not the right fit. We're gonna spin you off, because it's not good for anybody, right? You're trying to fit a round peg into a square hole. The problem is, oh wow, my camera changed. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, your mic is cut off to
mic.
something. I think it's kind of moved towards your PC mic.
Oh, that's weird. Hold on a second.
Yeah, take your time. Rom, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just jump in and say that I'm going to lean on holding management accountable there, because I think that's kind of the thing where it's like Compulsion was going to make the game they were going to make. Would like Ty, like I would ask you, like, would your thoughts about South of Midnight as a product, or like on the business side of it, be different if it was the exact same game but it took like 2 less years to make, or it cost maybe like, I don't know, like a half of what it did? Like, you would look at it differently, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
like,
I think differently. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, I think that there needs to be an understanding that like on the business side, there needs to be that kind of like, I don't know. I don't think that we hold the business people accountable enough. Like I work in management, and if I don't set my people up for success, it doesn't, like, I have, obviously, how it is. Like, you have good people who are really good, and you have people who, maybe they're not the best, but they can get the job done. And it doesn't matter how many great people you have as a manager. If I don't set my people up to succeed, if I don't get them going down the right path, like, things don't work out sometimes. Like, that's just how management and running a business or whatever works. So, like, when I look at it, it's just like, okay, well, maybe we should be managing a little bit better. Like, I don't think that, like, necessarily, kind of like what Ken says, like, you got to let them like figure this out a little bit. Like, you can't just close Compulsion. Now, I do think that Compulsion is probably in danger, but in terms of like what they see fit as what they need to do right now, I'm definitely concerned about them, but I don't think it's the right thing to do.
I mean, even the idea that South of Midnight 2 was their proposition was like, what?
Yeah, that's terrible.
I think from a narrative perspective, it makes sense. I think that there is a world there. There's a lore there that they want to continue. I might be wrong. I swore I read that somewhere.
No. I would say, yeah, from a narrative perspective, yeah, but from a business perspective, it's not the thing you should do. Because I'll give you an example, right?
what I said is this: when Hellblade 2 came out, I played it, and I actually said it was one of my favorite games that year. I honestly loved it. I thought it was unique. It was different. But then I said to myself, I was like, "Yo, this took like 7 years to make." And I remember like reading up on the studio. They went to Iceland to go like map out the landscape. All these, probably renting 5-star hotel rooms. I don't know if they did that or not. But like they were in Iceland, they're doing all these things that like made the game cool. And I was like, well, how's this leading to more money? Like, how is this making you more money? How is this helping Xbox or the Xbox ecosystem? And then they did all these things, and it took 7 years to make. And the game came out, and I was like, no, that can't be it. That's it. And I was like, wait a second, why did you reduce the gameplay? Like, why did you make all these things worse? And obviously, doing my research into it is because they wanted it to be more arty. They wanted it to feel more, like the creative vision. And I thought to myself, yeah, but who asked for this? Like, what player is asking for a game that doesn't feel like a game?
So I just want to correct myself. I swear I read this somewhere, but apparently, so I looked it up just to make sure. So it says that 2 months ago, Windows Central reported that Compulsion Games was setting up and now hiring to develop, quote, a new IP described as, quote, intriguing, end quote. So they were gearing up to make a new IP. So I was incorrect, but I read that somewhere.
No, that's fine. And
yeah.
And and I'll pass on to you, Todd. The reason why I say, Ken. The reason why I say that South of Midnight, not South of Midnight, is that Ninja Theory is actually very safe. Is apart from their motion capture studio and the experience with Unreal Engine, I think the reason why they're safe is because they were able to identify straight away. They're like, yeah, we fucked up with Hellblade 2. Can we get something out really, really fast that is going to actually make fans want to play? And Xbox is going to be in a situation where they can't get rid of us because our game is going to come out in 6 months, and this game is actually not going to be a Hellblade 2 sequel. Because I can almost promise you this: if the Senua game was in the same vein as Hellblade 2, Ninja Theory is probably an option to get shut down. And I think the problem with Compulsion and Double Fine is that I don't think they have any game on their books right now. And if they do, I don't think those games are going to sell well per se. So I think they've kind of, I agree with you, Rome. The management needs to kind of be more forceful here. But I said this to you some time ago, where it's like, but as a CEO of a company, why would you make a decision that could lead to your company like shutting down? Like, do you not have some kind of duty of care to say to yourself, like, you know what, I really want to make this really arty farty game, but if I do it, my company's going to probably get shut down. So let me, try to find some balance where I then make a game that people want to play. So then we get more sales, we get more Game Pass players, which means our parents' company doesn't feel the need when they're under financial pressure to shut us down. Like, to me, that's just my thinking.
I think that like there's got to be a level to it, of course. Like, I mean, we look at it like you could look at it like Obsidian, for example, right? Like, I think you said that Grounded was one of the success stories, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So if Obsidian as a studio is putting out a hit success like that, and then on the side they're doing little things like Pentiment, for example, I think that's good. I think that makes sense. If you look at Double Fine, it's okay, you guys have done some of the stuff. If you ask me what's a better move for the business, I would say, okay, so Double Fine, you guys got to make a few things that you wanted to make. You made Keeper, you made Kiln. I liked Keeper, but again, depending on what your expectation should be, I could understand why you look at Keeper and you're like, this is a failure. It's like, well, what were you expecting? It's a 5-hour artsy game from Double Fine. I enjoyed it for what it was, but if you look at it from a business sense and it's a failure, then I don't think you had the right expectations from the get. But to get back on point, I think that, like, okay, you look at Double Fine, it's like, okay, we've let you guys do a few of these things. It is a business. Now you're going to have to work on something that we really need you to work on. I would say make a Banjo-Kazooie game. I know you talked about that, Ty, the other day, but it's like, I can understand that, but I just don't see closing the studio as the right way to go about it. I mean, again, obviously it's the business side, and I'm not going to draw out the whole discussion on the business. I understand how it all works.
Well, I would say the reverse is probably more true. So you make a game that's going to make you money, first of all, right? Then once you have that in the bag, once you have that trust within your publisher or your parent company, they can then say, okay, go make your artsy game because you just did this. Like right now, if Playground Games says we want to take 2 years out, we want to create a small team to make some artsy fartsy game. Wait, you're the guys who made Forza and Fable? Yeah, go ahead, have your fun. It's not the other way around.
Yeah, but when they acquired Double Fine for a reason, they acquired Double Fine because that past library, that past body of work was there with Psychonauts and the Grand Fandangos and all that stuff. So they had that there. I get what you're saying, but like that's already happened.
Here's the thing with Psychonauts too that I think is actually quite interesting and bizarre is that you're right, they acquired them, but they didn't deliver something for Xbox yet. They didn't deliver something new or something great for Xbox. So what they're doing is they're saying like, based on our past experience, we're going to do it this way. And I keep saying to myself like, Psychonauts 2 is a far superior product in terms of at least from a financial point of view than Double Fine and Keeper. So what they did is they actually took more money and downgraded the kind of games that they're making. And Mighty said this on his podcast or on his show some time ago. He said that like, I feel like these devs are taking Xbox for a ride. Because the idea that you make Psychonauts 2, which is a great platform game, 88 Metacritic, 90 Metacritic, 89 Metacritic, and then now that you get more money, you don't make a product that's going to sell or do anything crazy. You go make a niche product. It's almost like they're looking at Xbox as like, oh, thanks, bro. Yeah, now we're gonna do our thing. Like it's like they don't take Xbox seriously, and I kind of hate that feeling that these people are taking advantage of Xbox. I know I shouldn't feel that way, but it really does feel like that because how do you get purchased and then you're supposed to level up, but you level down?
Well, my question again kind of goes back to, so was management lied to by Double Fine? Was game A pitched and they got something completely different, or was Keeper and Kiln pitched and Xbox said, do it? Because if Xbox said, if Double Fine said, hey, we want to make a pottery brawler or whatever, like, hey, we want to make this, and Matt Booty's like, sounds great, Chief, puts the stamp on it, at that point you can't be mad at Double Fine for making these games because that's what was pitched.
True.
And they wanted to make that. So like, I get your point. Like, again, like these things need to come together to be successful. The developers, they need to cook, Ty. They need to do what they need to do. But the management needs to also be there and be like, okay, well, we also do still need to turn a profit to keep the studio on open. So like, I think both things can be true.
Yeah, I get your thoughts real quick I'll just respond to Rom on this. I get what you're saying, Rom. I completely agree in the sense that like, yeah, these things were pitched to Xbox, and Xbox was like, yeah, cool. That's you guys make whatever you want to make. I'll say this: when a parent company or shareholder, whatever it is, tells you you don't got to worry about the money or the profitability, it's a lie.
Oh, for sure, I get that.
It's a goddamn lie because they might feel that way now. But the reality of the situation is going to catch up with them, and then they're going to look at you and say, yo, bro, like, yeah, about that shit we said back then, yeah, forget it. So that's just the first thing. The second thing here that I would say is that as soon as Tango Gameworks drops Hi-Fi Rush, and it has a Metacritic of like 88, 89, and everyone's talking about it, and it's winning awards, and then the same parent company that said, make whatever the hell you want to make, shuts them down, you should be on alert that this can happen to you. Because if they're that high and your product is gonna even be worse than theirs, you're gonna get shut down, bro. So the fact that these devs didn't even consider that,
yeah, but it's an
artistic. They're living in such a naive world.
I hear what you're saying, but it's literally an artistic career. Like they're tasked with creating art. They're tasked with creating these games. At the end of the day, like I don't think there's anything wrong with pitching a project to management. Like if you're like, hey, we have an idea of something we want to do, can we do it? Like that's the whole point of a pitch. Like you're just throwing an idea out there. Obviously, when you're doing a game, like it's not just an idea. You have to have concept and you would assume maybe a vertical slice of something like that. But it's like, yeah, like it's an artistic medium. Like that's what the point is. Like people are going to come up with ideas, and you're not going to be like, no, we're not doing that. It's stupid. Like on the pitch level, like it's like, no, like, well, what's the idea? Okay, like let's look at what the studio has. Let's pick our best idea and let's go present it. And let's pitch the game. And
Ken,
like if
before
that's
you,
what
I
Double
know you're
Fine
gonna
came up
jump
with
on
the
this,
pitch, then Matt
but the
Booty
artistic,
or Phil or anybody
uh-huh.
should have said no, make a banjo game.
The artistic, because I was talking to Ushers about this, and he said that like everyone actually think video games are art. Is like they're not, they're products. And I was like, okay, well, explain that. He says like, yeah, there's a level of art within these video games, but as soon as you start taking millions, it's not an artistic project anymore. It's a product that has to sell, and therefore you need to make sacrifices to actually sell that product. So when a game like, and this is so funny because I remember Rand was talking about this in his show. He said that like compulsion games and sort of lets you play the game without the actual combat. And he said that the game is actually better like that. And I'm like, that's so interesting because this is a video game, but you're telling me that the best way to experience this product is by just watching it? Then it hit me like, wait, so maybe this product should have been a movie or TV show. And he's like, yeah, it would have been amazing. It's like, oh, so what you have is you have somebody who's making a TV show or movie with a video game budget, and they're not focused on the actual gameplay. Because Ken, you said it yourself, like the gameplay wasn't great. Yeah. And I'm thinking, like, why is the gameplay? Like, shouldn't that be the first thing to be good, right?
No, the reason. So the thing is, Compulsion, they didn't come out with that many games. Like, think about when they bought these studios. Everybody's thinking they could just go, they could swing up there with Sony Studios, with the big budget AAA games, and it's like you can't do that. What? So like going back with them, South of Midnight 2, that shit should be scrapped. Like you getting kicked out of the room if you're pitching me that game. But if I'm Xbox, right, and I sat down and played South of Midnight, I would go like, all right, let's test these guys. Let's give them a bigger budget and let's see what's a better IP that can sell now. Because I think once if they get more money, what's going to happen? Now they can reach out, they could hire more experienced combat designers. They already have the story. So now you have a team that, okay, they can put out a story that can compete with the likes of like Last of Us. I'm not saying that well executed, but they can tell something that people want to watch, like those video game movies that PlayStation puts out. But now we just give them a bigger budget, and that way we can have them improve the combat. Because did they come out with that game We Happy Few? I don't think that had any combat in it. So
I've played We Happy Few. It's not a good game. Like outside of the first hour, and I played it before Microsoft bought them. I had played it when it released, and it was the concept's really good. I would say like the first like hour or two is really good, and then for me it drops off like a steep cliff, like gameplay wise. It wasn't great. But then the idea is that I will say that South of Midnight plays better. I mean, they're different genres, but I think South of Midnight is a step in the right direction in gameplay. I think it's better gameplay wise than We Happy Few for sure. And then I think the game before We Happy Few was like a little indie side scroller. I think
that's
like,
what we're saying. Like,
they're a growing. I agree with you. They're a growing.
They're growing. Like they're growing. So you just like we said, Xbox just did.
This is why I'm so annoyed.
They took money. They're taking money from them, but yeah, you just have to be more in control. Like, what's the point of you guys being at the top and then you're just letting them run loose? All you really like, I don't get how simple. All you have to say is like, "Yo, South of Midnight wasn't that. It didn't sell like that. Let's do something that actually can make you guys sell." It's kind of like Remedy. It's like their games are great. It's just the marketing for their games.
And this is where I thought I'll let you chime into this now. But this is where I get a bit frustrated with this, because it seems like the patterns are very clear. Like there's a lot of things I see in Xbox and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. And I just think it permeates across the board. With South of Midnight, I look at it and I think the fact that you didn't even manage them to make a proper combat focused game, right? Because I look at like a Bridge of Kina, like that's what I compare it to. And Bridge of Kina, it sold really well. I checked all the data points. It did really well, and that game just seems to tick the boxes. Like it seems like the developers who were making it, they said like, we can make our artistic vision in the confines of a game that's going to be commercially successful. And when I look at South of Midnight, I'm like, no, these guys didn't think the same way. They just thought we're gonna make what we want. We don't care if it's successful or not, and whatever.
You're talking about Kenna?
Yeah, Kenna. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's the issue right there.
Mm-hmm.
That these guys just they weren't really looking, and this is where, somebody said this a while ago. Like, if you were to take Compulsion's creativity and mind and give it to a developer that actually knows how to make gameplay, you probably have a fucking amazing game. And I think Xbox should have realized that and actually said, all this stuff you want to do, it's not happening. But you know what? You can do it. But this new guy's going to be the new gameplay director. He's going to be the new environmental director. And this guy's going to be the artistic director. So you come up with the creativity stuff, and then these guys will actually do the gameplay stuff. I'm perfect. You'd have had an ultimate game. Todd, what are your thoughts on this? On Compulsion, Double Fine, Ninja Theory, these kind of artistic kind of games that Xbox or studios that Xbox has. Do you see Xbox moving away from these type of purchases? Not purchases, this kind of games, and focusing more on the AAA blockbuster games? And which of these studios, or any of the studios, do you think is probably gonna kick the bucket, or maybe even get released from Xbox list? Oh no, Mike. Oh, your mic is gone. Oh, no, we can't hear you.
I was having camera issues when I came in earlier, so I don't know. I had to reload the whole web page. I don't know if that'll help them.
Sometimes I heard your mouth moving, but I wasn't sure if you were trying to interject. No, I guess you were. I just thought you were just on mute, just agreeing with everyone. Yeah, I agree.
While Todd's getting his mic fixed, I did want to touch on one other little thing you had said about games. Are they an art or are they a product? And they're a product. They're both. And that's, I think, the thing where a lot of argument happens, where it's like the product is the art that you're selling. You're actively selling something, and that something is art. Mm-hmm. Yes, there are different kinds of games, and some may seem less artsy than others. But at the end of the day, they're all art. And so, you're making these things. You're drawing, you're coding, you're designing, you're, voice acting. You're doing all these things. All these things, you do them elsewhere, and they're considered art. It's art. Games are art, and you're making art, but you're selling that art. It's a product, but it's also art. It's both. I think it's disingenuous to say one's not the other. If you say it's just art without, if you say it's just art, it's we're selling it, so it is a product. It's we're selling a product. Yeah, but what are you selling? You're selling art. It's both.
I think I'm back.
Yeah, am I back? Before you go away,
he's in a different room. He's in a different room.
Usher, so we were talking about, is art a product or is video games a product or art? I mentioned to the guys how you said it's a bit of both, but it's primarily a product with some artistry involved in it. And Rome says it's both, but ultimately I think he favors that it's more artistic than anything else, right? Right, Rome?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Todd. You could fly away with the previous question, or you could actually answer that question. Is video games art, or is it more of a product?
I'm going to just compare it to Hollywood movies. Movies are an artistic medium, but they are also an IP, a business. They make profit, but they also have a producer who has to say, you cannot spend $300 million to make this movie. You have to make it for $150 million. That's your budget. Director, I'm cutting that. The issue with Xbox, I think they were under managing not only the studios, their projects, but also keeping them accountable for sticking to a budget. So to me, that's mismanagement on a whole nother level. They did a spending spree on all these studios with, I think, a wider vision of what you were going to deliver, and what their role in being part of Xbox was going to be. Saying, yeah, just do the same thing you're doing. I'm like, that is so sad and wrong that you would do that. You give them that perspective, and they're like, oh no, you didn't do what we said, but you didn't give us guidance. So I think Matt Booty, the fact that he's still there, just surprises the crap out of me. Yeah, he's had a couple of successes, but the majority of things, you just see everything that got mismanaged underneath it, and it's well, he's still there. So I'm guessing he's more of a yes man than anything. He's going to do exactly what Asha does. She thinks he's got credibility because he's been at Xbox a long time, but a lot of this is ultimately, I think I heard some great points. If Compulsion is not great in one area, then maybe they need to think about their studio structure and say, hey team, we're going to redesign these structures. You're going to be a little less independent, but we're going to, align our studios better to help make the best game you can make if you lack something that is going to make this game less successful or less likely to come out on time and at budget. So to your point, should Compulsion be teamed up with a studio that has really good chops? And that makes me think of Ninja Theory. Think of all the games in Ninja Theory that had amazing gameplay. DMC, you had Heavenly Blade and all these things. They also had some good really good storytelling, but then they shifted completely to something like, oh, we're going to focus on the story. I think there's complementary studios within Xbox where they could be better at partnering together, maximizing their abilities, or even do the Nintendo model where they essentially have production. They produce a lot of their games, but they actually don't develop them. They bring in Bandai Namco to do things or Platinum or something like
Smash
that.
Bros.
Yeah, so
people don't realize how much the Nintendo doesn't develop their own game. Like they have a Mario team, they have a Zelda team. Everything else, like the new Star Fox game, is not made by Nintendo.
It's by a new company. I didn't even know.
Velon or Velrin.
Yeah.
But yeah,
exactly.
Nintendo, they produce these games. Nintendo has like Shigeru Miyamoto, whoever. They have someone in the room visiting the studio saying, "Okay, let me see the game. Does it meet our standards? What we're going for?" That's what they do. They don't like. I'm betting money that this Ocarina of Time remake is not made by Nintendo. I'm telling you right now.
I think it's going to be Grezzo probably.
I think it might be Grezzo too, but it looks like a big up. It looks like a big jump from what Grezzo's done before. So I'm a little unsure, but I think it might be Grezzo. But we'll see.
So I was going to also say, like, one of the things that I think is important is, I don't know how many games Game Pass needs these days. It seems like there's too many. So maybe that's a perspective of maybe we don't need all these little games to come out to fill it out, because that means, we're not going to be going after what they just said, which is more resources going into these bigger, high-profile games. We want more of the games that are going to move things. Like, where's the next Fallout game? When's that going to happen? If that's behind Elder Scrolls 6, that's not coming out until 2030 something. So I think that is what we're going to see. If Xbox wants to get serious, they have to kind of maximize the abilities of their studios, combine them if needed, and or let some of them go to be that creative studio to do whatever they want and fail on their own. Or let them go and then hire them back like Toys for Bob, right? To make a Spyro. So I think there's a lot of things they can do to get right. But yeah, letting these studios just do whatever they want, not having
accountability.
Accountability. Because Asha can't tell you if a game's going to be good or bad. She's got to rely on Matt Booty or somebody else, but the majority of her staff is not focused on gaming. So who's going to be the person that really can vet what's going to be good and what's going to be bad? Unless she just says, "Oh, what is the?" I don't think she's going to ask Twitter what they want, because maybe that will lead them. So I am curious what they do with how do they make better decisions with the games they greenlight, and how do they kill the games before they get 5 years in, and it's not going where they want. So I'm a little nervous. State of Decay's got to do well, because you can't spend that much time on State of Decay, and that's scary. And then I don't know. I don't know if Turn 10 is going to be around much more, because Forza Motorsport just seems to be not that interesting to people anymore.
But funny enough,
really
with Forza
expensive to run.
Motorsport, I actually think they'll be around just because they. I think that decision actually goes back to Playground, when Playground decided to use the Forza Tech engine to actually make Fable. What that means is that you can't just hire any developer to come and help you code for it. It's like, okay, we need people who actually have used this tech before, and the Forza team, Turn 10, they have that experience. So I actually think that's actually kind of helped them to stay relevant a lot, because if you want to make a Fable 2, well, you might as well just hire the Turn 10 team to help you support. So I actually think that decision actually probably saved them to some extent.
I was gonna just kind of jump in. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think Turn 10 what's left of Turn 10 I don't think they're in any danger, because I think that if you look at Playground, if they're gonna start being this dual studio where they're making Forza Horizon, but they're also making Fable, you're gonna want some turn 10 guys to be constantly working on the Forza side of it. So, like Forza
Do
or
they
Turn
keep them
10,
though, or do they just basically bolster? You basically shut down Turn 10. You just say now you guys are no longer at Turn 10. Your Playground Games Studio employees, and now you do that.
I think at this point they're really just a support studio for Forza Horizon. I mean, like they are when you boot up Forza Horizon, Turn 10 and Playground both come up as the logos, right? So like I think that like right now in their current iteration, they are pretty much already a part of Playground, and I think it might just be more of a namesake alone. But I mean, you could say the same thing about like how Call of Duty had like Beanox and everything working under them. Why not just throw them into like? I mean, you don't need to. I mean, if you're saying, hey, Beanox is this smaller studio that is a support studio that works on Call of Duty to make sure we can put one out every year, then I don't see why Turn 10. I mean, Forza is doing great numbers. Obviously, it's not doing Call of Duty numbers, but it's doing great numbers. I think that there's a justification on a financial level there where it's like, hey, listen, like Turn 10, like you're probably not going to make your own Forza for a long time, if ever. But I don't think there's a reason why you have to like shutter the studio just to merge everyone into one. I mean, maybe I don't know. I'm not there, but maybe they want to be.
I think there's an element of.
I think it's just a name at that point. Is my point. I think it's just a name.
I think the reason you do is because it's your way to eliminate managerial positions, which are expensive,
and
you
also
can
probably building costs as well.
Yeah, and if you've got a different studio, then you've got different resources. You're basically there's a lot of that's why a lot of mergers duplication gets eliminated, and then you remove managerial positions, which means
accountant, finance, all these positions that you're like, we don't need that.
So I think that's the main reason. That's the real business reason. So a lot of it just becomes like, what are you bringing value with by being still your own entity? And it actually kind of allows Xbox leadership to have less people to talk to too. I mean, do you want to talk to 85 studios? Or would you rather have 5 or 10 studios where you can see all of their ideas? You can be more involved with those games, make better decisions earlier. I think it's a problem. And also, Xbox was just too expansive.
And also, like, you might have Turn 10 management still saying stuff like, "Can we make our own game, please? Can we make our own game, please?" And you're like, "No, bro, you messed up last time."
Okay.
He's like, "You know what? If we just like shut you down and just tell everyone, hey guys, you have to move to Playground." It's like, well, now you can't come to us like you're gonna make your own game. So I think there's a lot of bonuses that's just shutting it down.
Okay. Well, then I would rephrase the stance then, because that's valid. So I would rephrase it to say I don't think the developers at Turn 10 are in danger of getting laid off. I think that they're going to want those people to help work on Forza Horizon.
Ken, so out of all the studios that Xbox could potentially shut down, Ninja Theory, Double Fine, Turn 10. Which studio do you think is gonna get the bucket, get the boot, and which studios do you think Xbox is considering still keeping around just because maybe of their future prospects?
I definitely think right now it would be Double Fine and Compulsion. Compulsion first because they don't really have any legacy IP. It would, but yeah, Compulsion's in danger. I don't think like Obsidian, those type of studios are in danger. They're bringing in enough money. They see value in them. I think they're just going to see which studios that have a branding with the Xbox ecosystem. They're going to keep those, or the ones that can deliver big games. Those are the only ones that are going to stay. Yeah, because right now everything they're trying to get back to being like controlling Xbox. Everything is about bringing back that brand of Xbox, and some of these studios are not helping, but they're not going to give them enough time for them to help.
Yeah. I'll share my thoughts and I'll pass it on to you, Rom. I think Turn 10 is because they have experience with the Forza engine, and I think the fact that Playground has Forza Horizon 6 out success, they're gonna want to make DLCs. I think you could actually
give that to Turn 10 to help make some DLCs to kind of help with some background stuff. I think the fact that like Fable is probably going to be Xbox's biggest game, and they probably want to make DLCs. And Asha has actually said that like, yo, we need to start making these games faster. I think you need people with the Forza tech. We know what happened with Halo Infinite, where these guys didn't understand the slipstream engine, and then it just kind of made the games longer. So I think now that you have a core team in Playground and Turn 10 that actually know the engine, I think you could probably keep them around. So that's one. Plus, they've already downsized already, right? So it's not like you have like 150 employees. So I think they're safe. I think Double Fine is safe for a few reasons. Fuzzy has actually mentioned that like there is a bigger game that they're making. Now, my pushback is that, well, you've been at Xbox for 7 years and we haven't seen your game. Like we've seen all these smaller titles and these niche like products. So then the question becomes like, well, if your game comes out in 9 or 10 years, is a Tim Schafer platforming game worth 10 years? Like, once again, it's this question of like who's managing these budgets? Astrobot took 3 years to make. Like, is your game gonna be better than Astrobot? Is it gonna sell more than Astrobot? Because that took 3 years to make, and your game is gonna be 10 years. Like what are we doing here? So it might be safe if. Go ahead.
Was Tim? Was his last game he developed? Was that
Psychonauts 2?
Psychonauts 2? So is he kind of? I mean, I know he like said, "Oh, this guy's doing this game. This guy's doing this game." I'm wondering if hopefully he's been working on Psychonauts 3 while they're doing those things, and we're gonna get something next year because it's been a long time. And Psychonauts 2 is not an exclusive because they were making that game before they got it before they were acquired. Yeah.
I hope so. So I think Fuzzy has a good point there. And plus, I think the fact that like they're very talented studio. Like I said, Psychonauts 2, 88 Metacritic, 89 Metacritic. It's a game that if you tell them like, hey, listen, make us a banjo game. I think you tell them to make a banjo game, they make it. It's a great game. And I think it probably becomes one of the best platformers out there. So I think they're kind of safe. Compulsion is the one that I don't think are safe. Just for the reasons we laid out already. Yeah. And Ninja Theory, they're safe because they have obviously their motion capture, they have a history of making action adventure game, action combat games. So I think Xbox recognizes that. And I think the fact that Senua is more action focused, and the turnaround was pretty fast, like 2 to 3 years or 4 years, as opposed to 7 years. I think Xbox has said to themselves like, you know what, you're gonna stay around because you guys are about to drop a game, and based on how that game does, we'll see what happens. But because that game is actually combat focused, I think it's going to do better. I think it's probably going to be the best game since Hellblade 1. And that's good because also, obviously, because the game is only taking 3 years to make or 4 years to make, it means it's not that high on the budget. So those are my thoughts. I think Compulsion is one at risk. And I think the other guys, they have enough variables to make them still valuable to Xbox from a profitability point of view. Ken, what are your thoughts? Who do you think is going to get the bucket, and who do you think is staying?
I answered. I think I was the first one.
Oh, you did? Yeah, sorry about that. Rome, fire away.
I mean, again, I don't agree with it, but I mean, yeah, I think Compulsion's probably the one that's in danger. I think Double Fine. Something about Double Fine. I just think they're going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they're gonna be Double Fine.
I think they would ask to be sold, or I think they would actually try to reclaim their independence rather than be shut down,
I mean that too, which is why Double Fine. There you go. Because I would think it's like if Xbox were getting ready to shut them down, I do think that they would be able. They were pioneers in that indie space in a sense of like they really got like Kickstarter, like with that one project, I forget the name of it, but like that was something that they did. Like I think that they would probably get their independence. I think Xbox would let them do that too.
Oh yeah.
But in terms
of
like,
the Xbox would be killed if they closed.
Oh yeah, and I think they know that. I think there's no reason not to just let them spin off and just do that. And you can continue to have a cordial working relationship with them. I mean,
yeah.
I don't see why you can't. I mean, Toys for Bob is making Spyro, so for Xbox. So, but no, I mean, like to me, that leaves Compulsion as kind of the odd man out in the situation where I look at the rest of the studios and kind of like what you said earlier, Ty, like Ninja Theory, they're clearly trying to course correct as quickly as possible. I'm admittedly surprised with the turnaround of having Senua come out, even if it is just working with the Hellblade 2 assets and they're building off of it. Like, I know that obviously that drastically cuts down dev time, but I mean, I'm impressed that there's a Senua game coming out next year. So I'm just like, okay.
I
Yeah,
was actually telling
completely
some guy that like the reason why I'm not so shocked is because I think they've, like you mentioned, they've already done the groundwork. But I think that the groundwork that they did was actually a lot more. I think the reason why Hellblade 2 took so long to make is because I genuinely feel like they were focusing on details and artsy stuff. That they were like, oh, we need to get this right. Like, you know, maybe like, oh, we need to go talk to this person about the, you know, psychosis part of things. Like, you know, if they actually wanted to just turn Hellblade 2 into a game, I think that game would have came out way faster. But they didn't do that. And as soon as, you know, Xbox was like, what the hell are you doing? Like, okay, you caught us. Let's go make the actual game you want us to make. Well, because I said it to so many people, like, you know, and Toss said it as well. Ninja Theory has so much combat experience. So these devs who are there, like, bro, like, I know, like, just let me do this. I know what I'm doing. Like, you're telling me to just like, oh, single combat. And in the end, they also have the experience from Hellblade 1. Because Hellblade 1 had, I see them use the kick. I see them use the push. I see them use different, like, I'm like, all this was in Hellblade 1. So all they just did was, okay, fine, let's take the gameplay elements of Hellblade 1, which is still in our database, and they just put it in Hellblade Senua.
Yeah.
Like, done. So I'm not even surprised it's such a fast turnaround at all. In Hellblade,
well, they
2,
also made that Bleeding Edge game, right?
Away.
That was their first project for Xbox, right? It was Bleeding Edge. It was that combat game. I thought the combat was great in that game, but it just didn't have a hook. So maybe Ninja Theory should help out Compulsion in the next game.
Yes, please.
Right?
That's what we're saying. It's like, okay.
Like, I'm looking at this Hellblade game, right? Look at this Hellblade. I'm like, yo, she can stealth. I'm like, wait, why was I in Hellblade 2? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I looked at this game and I was like, this is what Hellblade 2 should have been. And if you guys go to the, you know, the Twitter page, you go to the Reddit pages, all everyone is saying is all like, this should have been Hellblade 2. This should have been Hellblade 2. Why wasn't this Hellblade 2? Like, you know, like, why did you make a walking simulator instead? And obviously Ninja Theory is just not responding because they're not good.
People thought it was going to be their God of War, right? This was going to be their God of War game.
Yeah.
Great story with really amazing combat, and it just didn't materialize. So maybe this will be the game they finally say, you know what? You guys have everything there. You just need to get the two, you know, peanut butter and jelly, bring them together, right? Everybody likes a peanut butter jelly sandwich.
Yeah.
I'll also say this. I still think the reason why this game is multi-platform, I don't know, I'll pass it back to you in a second. I've said this before, like, Xbox can't go back to multi-platform if they keep having these studios that rely on multi-platform to succeed or to break even. Because what that basically means is, like, a game like for example, if Hellblade 2 came out everywhere day one, it does better, but it's not amazing, but it does well enough. But if you're making a Hellblade 2 for like an Xbox ecosystem as an exclusive, it's never gonna work. But whereas I think with Senua, I think the reason behind that's a multi-platform still is because Xbox is still not sure. They're looking at it saying, you are kind of changing things up back into the action adventure mode situation, but we don't know if we can trust you. So let's keep it multi-platform first to see how the revenue is like, and then we'll make a decision after that. Now, somebody did say this on a different podcast I thought was quite interesting. He said, with Tango Gameworks, Xbox knew they were going to sell them off or want to get rid of them. So what they did is they made Hi-Fi Rush a multi-platform game so it could sell well on PlayStation, and then buyers can look at it and say, okay, they were on Xbox, they were on PlayStation, they were on PC, but whatever. So let's go purchase them. So he was trying to say that Xbox might be trying to sell Ninja Theory by saying, hey, the new game is action orientated and it's a multi-platform game and it's doing well, so that get rid of them. Because at the end of the day, we still don't think that from a profitability point of view, they're that good. So that's a possible.
I was surprised. I was surprised Sony never bought, Ninja Theory, because the Heavenly Blade was an exclusive, and I think Sony still owns the property. So it's like, you let them go. It's kind of like Remedy. I can't believe Xbox never bought Remedy because they made all those exclusives for Xbox, and then sorry, go away.
You know, I think Sony never bought Ninja Theories because I think they were cool with Ninja Theory then, because remember, Hellblade 1 was a PlayStation exclusive, right?
Oh, that's right.
And I think what Sony probably looked at and said that, like, yeah, this is still similar to God of War, and God of War is superior anyway. So
good point.
Like we don't need it. But guys, before we head off, we do have a Game Pass commenter. So with Jez's, well, first of all, a few points. Asher Sharma reduced the price of Game Pass Ultimate from $30 to I think $22, which she has stated has led to Game Pass growth now. So that's a good thing. But something interesting that she said, which for some people it's news, some people it's not news, is that she said, oh sorry, not she said, but Jess Gordon said that like Game Pass has actually been subsidizing the other parts of the Xbox industry that isn't good or profitability or profitable. Now I had a back and forth with somebody online on this, and I pointed out to him that like this is not really a surprise to the people who actually pay attention, because we all know that the profitability segments of a business will always subsidize the other sides of the other business, right? Therefore, if Xbox said Game Pass was profitable years ago, and that statement is true, then it means by default Game Pass is already subsidizing certain elements of the business. Now it might not be by much, but it already is. So Jess Gordon confirmed that that's the case. Rome, I'll pass it to you first. What are your thoughts on this, on the idea of hey, it's Ken Walk on. Let me see. Did he say he was gonna go? Oh yeah.
Sorry, I was answering a work text. Could you just give me the question again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Game Pass is profitable, number one, and number two, Game Pass actually subsidizes parts of the Xbox ecosystem. The parts are not they're not as profitable, as Jez has confirmed. Do you think with this confirmation now that the thoughts on Game Pass being bad or Game Pass being a problem, or Xbox needs to make a decision between exclusives or Game Pass will go away, or like what are your overall thoughts?
I mean, just to common theme, absolutely fucking not. People are still gonna hate on it. Like it's listen, man, like I mean we've talked about it. I think there's a real definite bias in gaming discourse, and I think that if it's something Xbox is doing, they're, at least for the foreseeable future, they're going to be fighting an uphill battle. I think if you're going to do Game Pass, like I was listening to Kind of Funny the other day, and Blessing, who usually is very like, he's one of the more negative Xbox guys out there, he said something to Greg Miller where he was like, honestly, it feels like and it was so like refreshing, because it's like, he was like, honestly, I feel like no matter what they do, we always give them a hard time. He's like, if they do, because they were talking about the exclusives. It was the Monday after the Sunday showcase, and they were like, they're going back on exclusives. If they hadn't been doing exclusives when they were doing multi-platform, we criticized them. Now they're doing exclusives again, and we're criticizing them. It's like, we just got to let them figure it out and let them have it. Like, I'm paraphrasing. And I was like, that was so refreshing, because you never hear that. Like, because, like, look, I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if they're going to succeed. I don't know if they're going to 100% go back to exclusives. I don't know, because there's so many things up in the air, and there's so many moving parts that I can only speculate, as we all can. But, like, at the end of the day, like, there's just a bias there where it's like Xbox is doing Game Pass, so Game Pass isn't profitable. And there's a lot of people out there that say that. And so, like, me personally, I love games. I love collecting my games. I love paying for my games. I love buying my games. I don't pirate games. I like voting with my wallet. That being said, Game Pass is outstanding, and I've been subscribed to Game Pass for years. I even figured out a way to stay sub during the $30 price point. It was tight, but I figured it out. So it's like, I just think that it's a good model, and I think if it wasn't a successful model, then these developers wouldn't sign up for the Game Pass deals.
The idea of them taking Call of Duty from Game Pass, did that give you some doubt about its future and any way, shape, or form?
Not about Call of Duty's future or Game Pass?
Well, Game Pass.
Oh, Game Pass future. No, I don't think so. I think that, like, Call of Duty sells a lot of copies, and I think that the nice thing about Game Pass is that it's a choice. If you're someone who plays a lot of different games, you will find value by Game Pass. But I can also understand on the flip side how it's like, okay, well, Call of Duty right now makes a lot of money. There are people like me. I didn't buy the last two Call of Duties because they were on Game Pass. I can understand how that's problematic. So they raised the Game Pass price to offset that. But you need to think about the consumer, and if maybe Call of Duty is not the right fit for Game Pass, if that makes sense. If that's what the price has to be to get it there. Because you need to be focused on value as well. Like, If you would tell me, like, again, like I'm somebody who plays as many games as I can. If you came to me and said, hey, for $500 a month, you can have every game that comes out, period, I would not subscribe to that because I can't afford $500 a month. You know, granted, I would get every single video game that comes out on every platform. Like that hypothetical, it wouldn't work for me because I can't afford it. So like you have to find that balance there. And if Call of Duty is such an expensive game that they don't want to cannibalize the sales, I get it, but I still think that doesn't mean that there's not a place for Game Pass.
Yeah, no, I take your point. Todd, do you share? What are your thoughts overall on the new reports from Jez that Game Pass has actually been subsidized in different parts of the business, and also when Call of Duty was taken away from Game Pass, like, did you have an idea that hey, maybe this is not the last time we might see other big games leave Game Pass, or do you think Call of Duty is just a unique title in this situation?
I think Call of Duty is kind of unique because I think people want to own Call of Duty because it is a live service game. I think it's also a scenario where a lot of people who are on Game Pass, maybe like myself, I played. I enjoyed the campaign. I'm not a guy that does that. So for me, it didn't give me value because it's like I wouldn't buy Call of Duty anyways. So, but I'm essentially having to pay for it anyways. So and just a fun fact, yes, they reduced the price down to $23, but before it was 30, it was 20. So we still got a $3 price hike.
Yes.
So, but I mean, I know why they did that because they said, oh, it was outpricing people. People canceled. So the question becomes, how are they going to grow Game Pass if the Xbox consoles are not selling? I mean, they've been on a decline. I mean, they've got to be on PC, right? My thought, though, is they really need to do something with cloud to go from 80 million or whatever to more people in other markets that are never going to buy an Xbox because they just either aren't there or they're way too expensive. It's not what they play. A lot of people play on their phones or mobile devices. So I think there needs to be a cloud tier. I think there has to be a cloud tier, and maybe that's where they get rid of like online costs and like the baseline is the first program you get is cloud plus that small section of games. You get that. And then you go up. But right now, PC Game Pass has no cloud. So I have to spend an extra, $10 to get cloud because I have to have Ultimate. But I'm like, well, cloud is nice to have, but it's not I got to have it. So I think there's things you need to do. Call of Duty, they actually said they were losing money because they lost. I think they said they could have made X number of millions of dollars that did not happen because they didn't get the more people signing up for Game Pass for it. So essentially, it became a scenario where it was like just a lose-lose. But yeah, it does open the door for could other titles not be on there? Sure, why not? Everything's open for there's no lines anymore. Because what about Elder Scrolls? Why should we give it away on Game Pass when we can charge you this? When Game Pass first started, first-party titles weren't on it. Sea of Thieves was the first title. So I would say right now, I think Game Pass is a great service. I just think I think ultimately it's just going to be limited by how people can access it. And right now, that's a challenge because the hardware is getting more expensive. So I think cloud is the way you expand it. But man, cloud's not cheap either. So I don't know. That's where I think they could go. I think Game Pass, I think it was something, it's too good of a deal for some people to believe it. And subsidizing the other part of the business, that just tells you they've got to right size their proposition. And what do they always say? If you aren't gaining users, you're going to squeeze those existing users for more.
You're going to charge them for more, basically. Yeah.
So I could see that happen as well. So
I think that there's a reason. I think there's a reason to be excited with the Game Pass proposition moving forward. I think with Asha, I know she speculated about experimenting with Game Pass and doing tiers and stuff. And I really think that could be I think that's a brilliant idea. I'm completely honest with you. I think that it would be a great idea. The funny thing is that like obviously we talk about like the cable thing where cable used to have everything. You would add stuff on a la carte, and then everything moved away from cable and they all did streaming services. And now you're kind of slowly seeing things kind of come back to that kind of model.
Correct.
Where it's
I have
like-
that Disney, Hulu, HBO
Yeah, exactly.
Max,
Yeah, right.
or,
where you
you know,
have
yeah.
that, yeah. But
Yeah, so I mean, speaking of that, I mean, like we talked about Game Pass and different tiers. They've added things that people say it's value added. But for me, I don't find value added in a lot of the things that they added. Like I don't need EA Access or EA Plus. I don't need the Ubisoft Classics. I'd really just love a tier of just Xbox only games.
Yeah,
I
completely agree. I think that they're like having the tiered list. Like my hope, what I would envision, what I hope they do, I would love for it to be like, hey, go to like xboxgamepass.com, right? And here is a checklist of things. And you go through like, what do you want? And maybe they show the price there, maybe they don't. I don't know. Maybe it's at the end they show it. But you click what you want, and they say, okay, if you get these things, will be your monthly payment.
Yeah.
I think that would
just right.
I just think that would be so cool. And like go like, and the thing is, you can have your cake and eat it too by doing that, because you can, hey, like you want to get someone in there, it's like, hey, for $15 a month, you get all these third-party games. We're going to keep bringing third-party games bi-weekly or monthly to the Game Pass service for $15 a month. You throw an extra $5 on there, you get first-party games. You throw an extra like $5 a month, you get Call of Duty. You get you throw $10 on, maybe you get a WoW subscription thrown in there. They have all these services like Minecraft Realms and WoW and Elder Scrolls, they have all these services.
You get all of the expansions thrown in.
Yes,
because right now you don't get expansions; those are extras. So you could say this is your all Xbox or this is that, and then it's like because I think that is the challenge with Game Pass. Game Pass is great, but you don't know what games you're getting every month, right? You don't. It's like, oh, here's your surprise games. Like, well, I like 2 of those, but I'm not going to play the rest. So is that value for me? Value, I always say, is if I don't use it, that's not value. That's just content that for me I'm paying for and I'm not using. So I think right sizing those tiers, getting it right, remove the online cost, because that should not be a thing anymore. And then you can say, well, if you just want a library of 100 games, it's $10 a month plus cloud. If you want all of the Xbox games, but you don't need all the extra crap, it's $22 a month. Great, awesome, because you've got a huge library already. And then if you want everything, which would be ultimate, right? EA, all these extra things, my Fortnite crew thing, and that's $30 a month. But you know what? You aren't forced to take it. You get the core parts of what's great about Xbox, which is their first party games. You can still get that as an affordable price. And they talked about like making ways to make it more affordable. I think we're going to see ads. I think we're going to see a subscription where the hardware gets drawn in, but it's a longer thing there. And I think they're going to bring maybe a partner with maybe Logitech G Cloud or another device, maybe Maker, and like, here is our streaming device at $300, but you can get everything streaming on it. And I think that's maybe another way to get people in cheap.
I agree. I think Game Pass has a lot of growth options. I think some of the tier stuff, I think it's good for the existing users, and I think it's good to kind of bring in people on the periphery. I do think to what you're saying, Todd, if they really want to see mass adoption, they need to get they need a cloud option to really take off. They need cloud to become big. But I also think the rumors of a Game Pass version for the Chinese market is huge. I think at some point that's where you need to start like
India, right?
India as well.
South America, all these other places where hardware is just, people aren't playing on consoles; they're playing on PC or their mobile devices.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think getting that extra revenue too helps.
Oh yeah,
us here obviously, because you can really help bolster Xbox here in North America by making sure you are making that money in those huge markets in India and China. Like there's such
billions, not millions.
Billions, not millions. Yeah, did I say millions? I meant billions. If I said
no. But I'm just saying, it's like that's what they've always said. They want to reach out to like billions of people, and that's how you do it.
Oh yeah, 100%. You gotta be there. You gotta be everywhere. And I think Asha says the right things. That kind of gives me hope that they're going to do these things and they're going to do them correctly. So we'll see. But it's hard as someone in the ecosystem not to feel optimistic after the last 3 months.
Yeah, and like I made this point out to someone I was talking to that like Xbox fans in general, in comparison to how they felt like in December and January, during the previous administration, they were down. Like, they didn't have much to look forward to, and now they're optimistic. And I was pointing out to somebody how, like, some of these guys went from like, oh, exclusives are completely gone, and if they ever come back, it's gonna be like a 6-month exclusive for the fans. But then Asher and Matt Booty come out and say, no, Gears is exclusive, full stop, and so is Clockwork, and it's never going to be on PlayStation. Like, for the people who thought exclusives were never coming back, or the people who were thinking, okay, it's going to be a 3-month exclusive or 6-month exclusive, this is huge news. Like, the fan base is happy, and I've just noticed that, like, it's a trend of the people who are more upset or irritated or whatever it is. Again, they're not really people within the ecosystem. They're people who play Xbox games via Steam. And it's just so baffling to me, like these double agents. Okay,
well,
these
think about that too. Like, PlayStation is saying they're going to go. I mean, well, they haven't said it expressively, but they're looking to get away from PC and go, exclusive again, and people are mad about that. So I think people are just unhappy, and they just like to be mad about things.
Yeah, people like to be angry a lot. But I will say this: listen, for Xbox, I think again they've done a great job in turning like the sentiments of the past to now. I think Asha is very intelligent when it comes to this marketing thing as well. I think she knows what she's doing. The idea of giving Xboxes out, and this is more corporate talk now. The idea of giving Xboxes out at their showcase says a lot, because I think what she's doing here. She's saying, hey, I've given you Gears of War exclusive. I've returned back Xbox Fan Fest. I'm giving you Clockwork as an exclusive as well. And for all you hardcore fans who stayed within the ecosystem through all the bullshit, here is the Xbox anniversary like edition. You know what I mean? I think those guys, they loved it, they were happy. And then she comes out and says, yeah, the previous dudes are fucked up. I gotta fix their mess with this 3% margin. So let's do that. And I think by doing all these things, what she's managed to do is to get like a group of people who actually say, oh, I understand. She's not the bad person. The previous guy's messed up and she's trying to fix it. And this is the lady who gave me an Xbox. Like, I feel like it's just really great marketing from them. Especially, listen, if you close the studio down, no one's going to be happy. But I think people are more accepting of it because they've seen the numbers. And they know that the numbers were not her fault. She just came in 3 months ago. Like, how could it be her fault? And she's saying, for us to succeed, we need to make hard decisions. Efficient. Like, I think she's really good. Like, you could see how she got to this position because she knows what she's doing. But listen,
I think she's not afraid she's not afraid to make the hard decisions, and she's not going to, and she doesn't have the attachments Phil had, so she's going to do what Satya said. Hey, I heard you to do this, and I think she said, yep, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it my way though. So let me cook and let me kind of do some things that are going to have the right influence to the, but also deliver where they need to deliver from.
Oh, your mic is switched again.
Ty, did you mess up his mic because he talked about people cooking again? You don't like it when people cook.
I hate that term so much. You
hate it so much, and I use it all the time because you hate it so much.
Rome, here's a quick one on Matt Booty before we bounce out of here. He's a polarizing figure for some Xbox fans. He's done well with the live service stuff, and he has a lot of W's under his belt, but he also has some studio closures under his belt, which isn't popular. Costs Xbox a lot of money. Forza Horizon 6 has just released, and 91 Metacritic, amazing. That's a Matt Booty game.
Oh yeah.
Halo Remaster is about to release. It's probably going to do well. I think everyone who's played it said, yeah, this is dope. So that's going to be a Matt Booty game. Gears of War E-Day is going to release, and that's going to be another Matt Booty game. And if that's a great game, that's another Matt Booty game. And then Clockwork Revolution is going to release. That's a Matt Booty game. That was great. That was great. Yeah. And Fable looks amazing, as you said yourself. That's another Matt Booty game. And then instead of the K3, listen, I wasn't impressed, but you were like, no, Ty, that game looks amazing. That's another Matt Booty game.
I was kind of trolling you when I do think it looks good, but did you catch that when I said that in the Discord? I was like, "Look, Ty, it's our second look at gameplay."
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that was a.
Listen, I've said all these games, right? I know these games are my booty games. If all these games hit, like let's say high 80s, 90s, whatever it is, will your impression of my booty change?
For sure. I think that the thing with Matt Booty is that obviously, like you said, polarizing figure in the fan base, polarizing figure in my own soul, to be honest with you. But no, I think some people have strengths, right? If Matt is too, if Asha can come in and Asha and Matt together as a team can deliver what they need to deliver, if Matt knows games, right? But maybe he is a little too soft on the studios. And when Phil was there, Phil wasn't able to do that good cop, bad cop, or that even like kind of make these like, hey, like, no, like you need to make this game with this budget or make it this fast or make this deadline. But, like if neither of them were capable of doing that, Matt could be good at games, but not be good at being a little strict on these deadlines. So if you can, bolster him up with Asha, you have Asha who isn't afraid to say, no, we have to do this. And you have Matt who knows games. You put these two people together, you would hope that they.
Rome, your mic has changed again.
Are you serious?
Okay, it's back now.
It's better now.
My camera looks like it's gone though.
You can just turn it off and turn it back on, I suppose.
Yeah, hold on, let me see real quick.
But yeah, Todd, so I was asking because Rome is not a fan of my booty, and I was telling him that, like, well, let's game this out a little bit. My booty has a lot of failures or whatever, and he has a lot of games studios that shut down, but he also has a lot of successes, from the live service point of view. Sea of Thieves, Forza Horizon 5, Age of Empires. I could go on. I did a video on this. However, I think something that I think is interesting to note here is that Forza Horizon 6 is a my booty game, and everyone seems to love that. The new Halo game, people who've seen it, played it, whatever, they think it's going to be great. I think it looks fantastic. That's another my booty game. Gears of War E-Day, everyone's saying, wow, this game looks amazing. Return to Form, that's a my booty game as well. Grounded 2, fans are not crazy about it, but like, hey, it's done the numbers. That's a my booty game as well. Fable, everyone's saying how amazing it looks. That's going to be my booty game. State of Decay 3, another my booty game. And we could go on. Basically, every single game that everyone's excited about Xbox right now are my booty games. If all these games come out, they succeed, maybe 90 Metacritic, 89 Metacritic, successes. Does your impression of my booty changes, or do you think no, he was still bad and he should have been gone a long time ago?
I mean, you can always talk to the Miyamoto quote, like a bad game released, is bad or whatever, but a good game, if it takes its time, is fine. I would say it's possible to be both. It could be he and Phil did not see eye to eye. Maybe Phil's didn't hold him more accountable to get more progress faster. So certain things like or he was like, yeah, you put those games out, but their cost was how much? I think there was just maybe just not a good working relationship where those barriers are there. So maybe he has a better relationship with Asha and the way she works. Maybe that's why he'll be more effective. But also say, why did these games take so long? That's part of the thing too. So he can be great, but if these games are taking so long, like State of Decay, if it's taking 8 years, somebody probably said this game should not take 8 years. So I think it's both that he has a good eye for games. It's just maybe he doesn't have the ability to like push enough to say, hey guys, this cannot take this longer. It cannot cost this much. So maybe Asha will be able to give him more constraints and more guidance, where Phil maybe was too laissez-faire. So it is frustrating that a lot of studios were closed or things were made or games canceled under his purview as well. And look what's gone on with Rare. I mean, look what Rare's been. Rare's been with Xbox how long now? And they essentially have Sea of Thieves. That's it. And there's probably nothing in and then Sea of Thieves is an aging game now. And I don't know if it's going to last forever, but it seems like people aren't very happy with the state of the Sea of Thieves too. So maybe Rare has to be taken to the woodshed a little bit. I don't know. But I think Matt Booty can be both good for an eye, but maybe it was the execution lacked, and maybe it's going to get better under Asha, where she's not going to be as as much of a buddy as Phil was. And I hope he's there for a reason, right? Not just to be a yes man, not to push the narrative forward and finally gets to be the bad guy to the studios. And maybe that's the reason why he was kept and Phil and Sarah weren't, because they just could not deliver in a way that worked for Xbox.
I actually think I'll run my pass it to you now real quick, but I think the reason why Matt was there, apart from the successes he could show, I think Phil was already going to leave, but I think the reason why Matt can still be there is because he could point to the success of Minecraft, Forza, Sea of Thieves, and all these other games that brought Xbox a lot of money. But I also think the other reason why he's there is that you can't get rid of all these executives in one go. And I think the most important executive to probably keep is the one who has a relationship within the actual studios.
Yeah,
apparently, from what I've heard, Matt Booty is actually really liked among the studio people in Xbox. Actually like Matt Booty, and they also like all the studio heads. They love Matt Booty as well, because he lets them do whatever the fuck they want to do. So of course you're gonna like him.
He's my buddy.
Like, thanks for the 150 million budget for this indie game, Matt. But I speak on a real sense. I think they do like him, and I think to get rid of Phil, Sarah, and Matt in one swoop, especially when Ash is coming in, Ash doesn't know the video game business like that. Ash doesn't know, what's a good game, a bad game. I think you kind of need somebody there to kind of like guide you. Now, it could be true that she might get rid of him next year or 2 years later once she's kind of got a handle on things. But at least for now, I think it makes sense to keep him, because the games that are being made were also his games. Like maybe when State of Decay drops, Fable drops, Forza drops, all his games drop that he's been managing for the last 7 years, you can then say, okay, your services are done now. I know the ropes now. I know what to make these guys make. I don't want to bring in somebody new to kind of like shake things up with these studios when the game's about to release. So there's that element there. But Rome, that's we'll let you sign off with this. Does your impression of Matt Booty changes in the sense that will you then say, you know what, he was a good pick and he's fine, I don't hate him anymore, I think he deserves to be there, because all these other games like Clockwork, and this is a Rome, I was pointing out to you, like, as much as you hate Matt Booty, you love Avowed in Matt Booty game, you love South Midnight in Matt Booty game. Outer Worlds 2, I don't know if you love it, but I think you like it, right?
Outer Worlds 2, you said?
Yeah.
I actually didn't get to that. I was really busy last year. It's in my backlog.
Okay, but that's another Matt Booty game. Like as much as you say you hate this guy, I'm like, but you love all these games. Like, what's going on?
Maybe I want to see how it works with him and Asha, because if it turns out that Matt has the eye for the games, but he just needed a little push in the right direction to, have someone kind of step in and be like the bad cop, as I said earlier, like the more strict one. Then, like, if Matt Booty knows ball, then Matt Booty knows ball, And, I mean, you make a great point. I agreed with, we joked about it, but I agreed with Matt Booty staying on when Asha took over. I do agree with that. It's funny to me in a meme sense that it's like, this guy has so much, people hate his, people in the Xbox fan base don't like him. They do view him as the scapegoat here. But I mean, like you said, when I look at Xbox's slate of games coming up, I look at Gears, I look at Fable, I look at Clockwork, I look at a lot of these games. 99% of the Xbox portfolio speaks to me and is very interesting, or at the very least, interesting. So like, yeah, I mean, if that means that Matt Booty knows what he's doing, if he knows ball, if he knows games, then that's good. But if he has a weakness of, hey, maybe he's just not the best at keeping the studios on track and meeting deadlines and benchmarks or whatever, then okay, then if that's a weakness, then we need to bolster that and strengthen that up somewhere. And that's Asha's job.
Performance plan, I believe.
What was it?
I believe that's on his performance plan. Satya gave him.
If you boxes, you're gone.
Yeah. So I know I agreed with keeping him on, and like I think he's doing a good job. I mean, obviously, like, let's see these games come out. I mean, they look great.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if we're sitting here 5 years from now and it's like Xbox is even back to competing, like, you know what I mean? Like, if I look at Xbox and I'm like, man, they are just a competitive brand. Xbox is not going to overtake PlayStation anytime soon, right? Like, for example, like a sidebar, like I'm a pro wrestling fan. I hate WWE though. I'm a big AEW guy. Love AEW, but they are a challenger brand. They are not. WWE is 60 years worth of experience and history and brand relation with fans that they have that they use over AEW. Even if AEW is the better show, the better product, AEW is not going to outdo WWE anytime soon. They are a challenger brand, but that's okay. You can be a challenger brand and still be successful. And for me, that's where I want to see Xbox at. I'm not a console warrior. I do find it funny sometimes, and I lean into it. But like, I genuinely want everyone to be doing the best that they can be, because that means that there's more great games for me to play. And my hope for Xbox is that they can be a competitor brand that just challenges, a challenger brand that competes and makes it at least be a conversation. And that's my hope. And I think that if Matt Booty and Asha can do that in 5 years, then I mean, I don't think anybody can argue with Matt Booty.
Okay, well, I guess I'll sign off with that as well. Todd, you want to jump in?
I was gonna say, I think ultimately, yeah, we want to be positive, right? I'm hoping Xbox finds a way to make their hardware, their point of entry, more affordable for users, because they make it they can make all the exclusives they want, but if people can't afford the box, I don't think people are gonna, spend $1,000, $1,200 on a Helix when they can't afford a rent, they can't afford a car. So I hope they fix that. I do have one question though. How much will they charge for that really awesome 25th anniversary Xbox?
So I've already talked to the wife. I'm not getting it, but I am allowed to get the controller.
Yes.
It is a gorgeous controller. It is.
Yeah.
Oh man, I need a new controller anyways. I noticed when I was playing Forza the other day, my trigger was sticking a little bit, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna need to upgrade, get a new one soon." But I really want that console. But I just, it's gonna be like.
I have no idea how much they would even sell it for. Like, are they gonna? Because we already know, like, these devices my Xbox is looking a lot of money of these devices. So are they still trying to sell these special edition devices for the market value price of the Xbox Series X, or are they gonna say, hey, this components prices have gone up, so this device has to be up as well? I actually have no idea. Well, what are your thoughts?
I think right now I'm seeing Xbox Series X in the US at Walmart.com, $573. Normally it's $650 now for the Series X. I'm gonna guess $700, but they're gonna toss in, maybe if they're smart, toss in a year Game Pass Ultimate, right? Just give it to somebody and then say, okay, stay on it and be happy. But yeah, I think $700. I think there's just gonna be too much people that want a collector's item, and it's beautiful.
Okay, listen, to everyone who showed up on the chat, Dalgrim, Tony, Ushers, Fuzzy, Raichi, and obviously to Rome, Kenwall, Todd, and Ushers, of course, that showed up. Thank you guys for coming through. We'll be back again next week, Friday or probably Saturday. I'll probably make a post to let you guys know. This is my first time having this kind of panel here. You guys have seen Rome before. You guys have seen Ushers as well before. And you've seen Ken, but you've probably seen them at different points in time. But it's my first time having also Todd here as well. So I think it was pretty good. We'll work on answering your questions a little bit faster and better. But listen, again, thanks for coming through. Rome, listen, tell us, where can we find you? I know it's been a while since you've done your podcast, but at least you can probably plug in your Discord.
Yeah, for sure. You can find me on Blue Sky at Rome or Rome W. And then we do have a Discord that we talk games in. If you find me on Blue Sky, you can hit me up. I'll get you the link for the Discord.
Okay, and Todd, listen, thanks for coming through. Really appreciate you, and of course, bringing your insight, at least from a business point of view, into this gaming discussions. Let the people know, where can we find you?
Yeah, I'm over at the Fandom Foundry on Blue Sky, Instagram, and we have a Discord. We have I do a couple different podcasts. I do Why We Play, ask people why they've continued to be playing games all these years. I have Best Thing This Week, where I talk to people like Ty, who tells me all the things about Irish tacos and all these amazing things. Or no, that was Norwegian tacos. Sorry, I don't know. Maybe there's some Irish tacos too. But we just talk about the best things that happened to you this week: music, movies, video game, whatever. And then I have MakerCast, where I talk to people who create. So I got a couple of awesome shows coming up with that. And then this fall we'll be doing Waiver Wire Wizards fantasy football, man. That's what I do. So if anybody's interested in being on one of those shows, hit me up on my Discord. My DMs are open, and I'd love to have fresh faces like Rome. Hey, if you're interested in talking about your gaming history, love to have you on, man.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, listen, Dalgrim, he says always a pleasure. Of course, had a great time to chat with you as well. Dalgrim was we started communicating over Mass Effect. He's a huge Mass Effect guy. It's funny because he says the games that he's looking forward to is The Expanse and Expanse and Exodus. And I'm thinking, yeah, me too. Like, GTA, yeah, I got crazy about it. Fable, yeah, it's okay. But The Expanse, though, oh, did you guys see that, Exodus? Yeah, so we have some similar tastes when it comes to games. But hey, listen, guys, it's been fun. See y'all next week, probably Friday or Saturday. I haven't decided which is out. I these guys can just see if they're free. But I'll be sure to let you guys know in advance. So once again, thank you for coming through.